Hey guys, how's it going? Today we are going to be taking a look at every item in Dota 2 and ranking them based on how good they are for support heroes. We're not going to worry about carries. We have every item here, so most items are going to end up in, the carry bracket. But the items that are good for supports, we're going to be taking a look at. We're going to be taking a look at why they're good. There are a lot of different supports, so we need to know why the item's good, when you should get it, and then we're going to go through all of that. And also, just in general, which items are pretty good and which are, pretty bad. I'm not going to say there's any item you should never buy. Every game is situational. You should always be thinking about each game as an individual, you never rule anything out. You never say never. You can learn from past games, but just in general, if you buy any particular item, in a random game, that's what the tier list is going to be about. But, towards the top is going to be, you're going to see those items way more often. So it is alphabetical. And also, before we get too far into it, just know this is a matter of opinion. You can get mad. If you're mad, leave a comment. If you're happy, you like the video. I don't know. And the channel name is Radiant Sun Weaver, so we already know there's going to be some unconventional opinions here. Let's see. So yeah, first thing's Abyssal Blade. That's a carry item for the most part. When it used to blink you, when it used to be able to teleport, I did sneak that into a couple of Earth Spirit builds. It wasn't necessarily the most effective. I actually think, what would have been more effective? I forget. Maybe it wasn't the Earth Spirit I'm thinking of. Oh yeah, Mars. But so the Abyssal Blade has the stun. In a lot of cases, a Yule's might be better. Yule's is a stun. They are invulnerable, but if you're using the stun for setup, then the Yule's might be better. And that's kind of what happened with I was buying Abyssal Blade on Mars, and then Yule's became popular, and I was like, well, actually the Yule's does the same thing, but is way cheaper and gives you mana, which Mars needs. But yeah, so in general, this is a carry item. Now that it doesn't teleport you, it's definitely, I'm not going to see it in any supports. I hardly see it in any carries even though there's some games where I think it'd be good. I don't see that item at all. Aeon Disc. I'm going to say, there's recently been an Aeon Disc meta. It's been really popular, but I think we still got to put it situational. It'll probably get nerfed anyways. The deal with Aeon Disc is it's pretty cheap. It gives you decent stats. It gives you just health and mana. And, it can save you. If there's a carry that can one-shot you, it can definitely save you. But I think the issue is you got to be smart with Aeon Disc. If you just let it get popped by like an Ember Spirit Sleight of Fist, he's just going to do it again in 2 seconds. So, it might save you one time. But if you're letting it get popped too much, then you're not really getting good value out of it. If you're being smart, maybe you can backpack it when you're not using it, and it's a little bit complicated, but it's definitely a thing where it's going to be situational. You're not going to be buying it like every game, even if it's pretty good right now. Aether Lens. Aether Lens. I used to buy this all the time, but now recently, I've been having more success by skipping the Aether Lens. And the reason being is it's an opportunity cost. It's 2,000 gold. You usually want to get it early. Well, early-ish if you want to have a decent impact with it. But it's just other 2,000 gold items have higher impact. It's just the way it is. I will say if you are looking to buy an Aether Lens, you better be having a stun-based hero. That's kind of where I would see it floating around. If your support doesn't have a stun, or even like a really strong slow or root or something, then I don't see any reason to get the Aether Lens. Just being able to cast that stun from a little bit further away, a little bit better catch. That's what you would get it for. Like a Lion, Shadow Shaman. But even they have they have an issue where as we're going through this video, we'll find that there's defensive supports and offensive supports. And the offensive supports are going to want to lean towards the defensive items in a certain sense because they're filling a gap they don't have. You know, I'm playing Lion. I can stun the enemy, but what if I need to save my carry? What if he's already in danger? There's too many heroes hitting him. How do I save him? Well, maybe like a defensive item like Glimmer Cape or something. But if I'm playing Omni Knight, I can already save my carry, so why do I need a Glimmer? You know, the extra save doesn't go as far, and that's another you know, that sounds like a personal problem right there that I'm calling out Omni and Lion in particular. A big inspiration for this video is seeing the guide for Omni Knight and like, you know, the Tortellini guide. A lot of people are just buying it. The guide for Omni Knight is Aether Lens Glimmer Cape. It's just not I don't think they're items he needs. I don't know. We can get into that later when I get to those items. But in general, I would say if you have a good stun, if there's nothing else you need, that's important. You know, a lot of these items, when you're deciding what to buy, you should address the threats first and then get your core items. Unless your core item is that good. But, so Aether Lens, we're going to put C, and just, it's not necessarily bad, it's just, you're probably buying it too often, and you might want to look into something else. Drums of Endurance. I haven't seen Drums of Endurance in a long time. Nobody's been buying them. Honestly, I don't know why. I think they've been nerfed. If I can check the, let's check 729. Have these bad boys been nerfed? Drumble. I don't know. It's the ordering on the update page is a little bit weird. But in either case, I'm gonna put them in. I want to put them in bad, just because, you know, I've never seen them in so long, and I never liked the item that much. But I've had games where I thought about buying them. You know, it's like a luxury item. It's like a Saint Yasha, where it's not necessarily like the greatest item in the world, but when you have nothing else to buy, you know, the idea of giving your team a move speed boost, isn't that bad of an idea. It does have a pretty decent build up here. I'm seeing Belt of Strength, Robe of Magi, just a couple of cheap stat items. I guess the biggest issue with the item, when you look at the stats, should I switch monitors? Because I'm looking at the stats. Let's throw this on top. Does that look good? Yeah, there we go. Oh, it's too big. Okay. When you look at Drums of Endurance, and this is something I evaluate a lot of items with, you're paying for the Belt of Strength, you get 6 Strength. You're paying for the Robe of the Magi, you get 6 Int. You're paying for the Windlace, you get the 20 move speed, and it even goes to allies. And then you're buying a recipe, and it gives you like the active. But you're not getting anything for free. A lot of items will give you free stuff. You know, like for example, a Falcon Blade. You pay for the fluffy hat, you pay for the Sage Mask, you pay for the Blade of Attack, and then what do you get for free? Which is usually, I say free, but usually there's a recipe involved. You're getting 50 more health, 1.1 more mana regen, 1 damage. Like, you're gaining stuff. You're not just combining items, you're gaining stats. Not every item will do that. So maybe that's the reason Drumbles aren't too popular. You're not really gaining any stats. So should I put them in C or D? I think what I'm going to end up doing is throwing them in D. You know, the games where I think about buying them, we're already winning so hard that there's really no reason to get them. Maybe they'll get buffed and they'll be popular again. Maybe not, but I don't see a need for them. Next item, Arcane Boots. I might be a little biased here. I love spellcasting. I really do. It hurt me to put Aether Lens all the way down here. Like I said, I used to buy it all the time. But Arcane Boots, I think we gotta throw in the A tier. I'm just gonna be honest. You know, when we're looking at Arcane Boots, the immediate payoff is so strong where you're giving your carry a bunch of mana. You're giving yourself a bunch of mana. What does the mana regen per second come out to? It's 160 every 55 seconds. Let me try to find my calculator. DotA's being very big right now. Doesn't want to hide. So let's do that. So every 55 seconds you're gaining every 55 seconds you're gaining 160 mana. That's 2.9 mana per second. That's really high. I mean, when we're looking at and you're giving that to two people essentially, because you meet your carry and you give them 160 mana. When we compare it to other mana regen items, you know, it's really hard to compete. You have Voidstone that gives 2.25 mana regen for a comparable price, and this is just like a little bit better. And I say comparable price because we're not necessarily including the brown boots, you know. The energy booster costs only 800 gold now instead of 900, so it's even easier to get these arcane boots on a support. I like to rush them. My teammates usually flame me when I rush them. It's just how it is, though. We're doing fine. You know, you gotta have a thick skin with a lot of these things. I would say if you buy arcane boots pretty much every game, I would then say, and this is a must, you gotta disassemble them and use the energy booster somewhere else. And pretty much every support's gonna find a use. Either you're gonna find it in Aether Lens, a Holy Locket, maybe a Lotus Orb, maybe that Aeon Disc. You know, it's just that energy booster can build into so many things, and they have such a wide variety. I have a hard time saying, you know, it's situational or just good in most games. It's like you can always find a use for the energy booster. The opportunity cost, of course, is that you're not buying Tranquils. I've always been lukewarm on Tranquils. I hate them. They are really strong. I personally haven't bought them too much. I think they fill an early game gap. I'm more of a late game player where I build towards the late game. So when you buy them, they feel good. They give you this immediate boost. But then by like the time you're 30 minutes in, that impact is kind of lost. But when we're looking at the arcane boots, you buy them, they're immediately good. You got so much mana, you can keep spamming your spells. And then in the late game, you take that energy booster and push it somewhere else into a different item. So I think it's pretty good. I'm going to throw an 8 here, and we're just going to move on. Armlet. That's like a carry item. I don't think I'm ever going to see Armlet on a support. You don't really need that kind of raw power. Am I on the right screen? Let's double check. Yes, we are. A Silk Harass. It's too expensive for support, I would say. Even like a late game, you know, filler option. I think you just leave that for the carries. I can't think of like, you know, even if you're playing like Ogre or some big tanky support, I can't think of a situation where you'd want to rush the AC and have your carry buy something else. If you have like a team that needs an AC, your carry's more than happy buying it, especially because it makes him even more tanky. Gives him a bunch of armor, and then the AoE does what it does. Skull Basher. I can't think of a support. You know, it's kind of the same thing as the Abyssal Blade. I used to try to sneak it in, but now there's really no reason for it. I can't think of one at least. Belt of Strength. You know, Belt of Strength. Let's check the build ups here. I hate it. You know, Belt of Strength is cool. A bunch of HP is cool, but unfortunately it doesn't really build into anything good, so we're just going to call it bad. And we're going to see what a lot of old school strength items. When we get to Bracer, we got Bracer over here. When we get to Bracer, I'm going to go into something, and I'll explain a bit. And I'll also explain this. It's not just because I'm ashamed of my haircut. There's more to it why I'm wearing this fluffy hat. Oop, did I say that? All right, Battle Fury. You know, a lot of people will say the blanket statement, supports shouldn't be farming. So therefore, Battle Fury is going to be a carry item. And I could say that. I could just end it there. Support shouldn't be farming. When anyone's looking. When anyone's looking. When they're not looking, you can sneak in the creep wave. I'm just gonna let you guys know that. If your carry's not watching, just sneak in a creep wave. You know, he's jungling. The creep wave's gonna die to the tower anyways. Just sneak it in. Just sneak it in. Get that mana boot money. You know. Don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. Just sneak in a creep wave. But you shouldn't be sneaking in so many creep waves and so many jungle camps that you need a Bale Fury. Let's just be real. BKB. I could throw that in carry item. There are some supports that you know, they combo with their BKB. I don't play any of the support heroes. I don't like those support heroes. We're talking about like Enigma, Witch Doctor, Crystal Maiden, where they have these channeling ults. They want to get their channeling ult off, but they don't want it interrupted. So their solution is by a BKB. But my problem with that is, you know, like how important do you think you are? You know, Crystal Maiden, buying her BKB, going for the ult. It's like, when I see that, all I can think about is that Crystal Maiden so desperately, and this is understandable, you know, you're playing support, so, you know, whatever, but that Crystal Maiden so desperately wants to, like, you know, make like a big game-winning play, and that big game-winning play is going to be running in the middle of the team fight, popping BKB, casting the, whatever it's called, the Freezing Nova? No, that's the Q. Casting the Freezing Field. The Q is Crystal Nova, by the way. Casting the Freezing Field and just like boom, 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 like wiping the enemy team. You know, I don't know. Like, you can do that with the Glimmer Cape. It's cheaper. It helps your teammates more. You can do that with proper timing. You don't have to start the fight with the Freezing Field. You can end the fight with the Freezing Field. When they've used all their stuns and you know their stuns are down, that's when you can throw in the Freezing Field. But you don't need to be the showstopper when you're support. And so I'm just going to throw it in. I mean, I'll just throw it in carry items, I guess. I don't know. Like, it is, like, if you're playing Enigma, I guess it makes sense, even though I have plenty of games on Enigma, and my go-to plan is wait until it's a good hole. Don't force the black hole just because you want to do the big game stopping play, the showstopper play. I say wait till it's a good black hole, such that you won't even need the BKB, you know. But so like, who's that leave? What support should be getting a BKB? Earth Spirit, if you want to roll in, sometimes that's a little bit necessary. I'm hesitant. Like the lower I put it, the more I like want to discourage people from that play style, just because it's like, you know, whatever. Let's throw in carry items, whatever. I don't want to throw it in bad because sometimes it's good, but it's, if you're a support. I mean, the biggest problem with BKB is it's selfish. You know, you're a support. You're supposed to be helping your carry, and if the best way to help your carry is to be able to use your spells, then maybe it's useful. But a lot of times the items that can compete with BKB are the major difference, and I'm talking about like Lotus Orb, Glimmer Cape. The major difference between all these items is you can cast them on yourself or a teammate. In BKB, it's just yourself. Blade Mail. You know, I want to put it in situational. Am I on the right tab? I think I am. I want to put it in situational. I might have to put it in bad because like it's the same thing where I don't want to give people the wrong idea. Do I think Blade Mail is a good item? I do. So then it's never bad. Okay, yeah, let's just throw it in the situational. So here's the deal with Blade Mail. The stats, when we're talking about free stats, they're pretty good. Let's throw this up on top. We're looking at Blade Mail. You've paid for a Broadsword. 1,000 gold towards Broadsword. Boom. You expect 15 damage. You've paid for a Chainmail. You're expecting 4 armor. And you paid for a recipe. You're expecting an active, you know, whatever. And then what do you get? You get 13 free damage. That's the carries care about that. You don't necessarily have to care about that. You gain 2 free armor. And then more importantly, you get this passive damage return. That helps you, and obviously this is less important on supports. I think I have to put it in bad. You know, I play a lot of offlane too, so when I'm talking about blade mail, my offlane influence here is leaking in a little bit. You know, I'm an offlaner. The damage return, great for killing waves. The damage block, the like the active where you return, you know, most of the damage that they're dealing to you. That's fantastic, especially against certain heroes. If I ever see Wind Ranger in my game, I will instantly buy a BKB. Pretty much no matter if I have even a decent amount of strength, I'm buying that BKB. I'm playing. My main support is Omni Knight. I don't care that I'm Omni Knight. I'm buying that BK. I'm buying that Blade Mail. If I'm playing Earth Spirit, who I also play a lot of, I'm buying that Blade Mail. I don't care that I'm support because these are tanky heroes that just have so much HP that when Ranger starts ulting me, she's gonna die. But besides that, like one niche, I've actually seen Blade Mails too often. I've seen like an Abaddon with a Blade Mail. What's the plan there? You're gonna ult and Blade Mail, and now like they're not gonna attack you twice. You know, if you're ulting, they're not gonna attack you. If you're Blade Mailing, they're not gonna attack you. You don't have to overdo it. You know. Say I have to throw it in bad, unfortunately. Let me switch back over to that window. Even though I really like the item, it's just better on cores. You can buy it in supports. Every item is purchasable, but if you think the answer is Blade Mail, then there should be a really, really specific reason you want it. One, there should be a really specific reason you want it, and two, you better be a tanky boy. 2,000 HP minimum, 1,800 actual minimum. Anything less than that, you know, they're not even going to notice. Let's see, Blade of Alacrity. I don't think that builds into anything good. Builds into Agnum Scepter, Mage Slayer, Yasha, Diffusal Blade. We're going to throw that in carry items. If you're building an Ags, that should be like the last piece of the Ags you purchase in most cases. So we'll just throw that in carry items. Blades of Attack. There are Phase Boots, Vladimir's Offering, Crystallis, Armlet. I don't see the Blades of Attack really ever being worth it. That's a lot of gold for only 9 damage. 450 gold for 9 damage. So we're just going to call that a carry item. It's worth it for farming. And there are some like melee supports that I've seen Phase Boots get bought on just for the move speed mostly. Well, the move speed and the armor. And the damage is incidental. So that's another case where I'd call it the last ingredient of Phase Boots. But there's never going to be a case where you just like buy the Blade of Attack. The one notable, we'll get there, it'll be at the end of the video apparently because it's a V but for V for Vlads, we'll get into when you should be buying Vlads. And it's not never, but it's also not often because it's a weird item now. And it kind of goes into opportunity cost. Blightstone. We're going to throw Blightstone in either B or C. Let me think about this. Good in most games. I would say it is good in most games. If you're buying Blightstone, you shouldn't be. There's at least a payoff, and it's not a bad item. It's a decent item. It is a lot of money, a lot of gold, and so that is the biggest opportunity cost. If you have like a Blightstone in your starting inventory, that is like a dedication right there. That you're gonna be heavy harassed. You're not gonna need the stats of other items, or the move speed of like a windlace or anything. But no, the biggest thing holding Blightstone above the lower tiers is that it builds into Medallion of Courage, and then by extension Solar Crest, and those are just great items. People are picking them up a lot because Solar Crest has been buffed and well reworked / buffed. It's better than it was before, but it's mostly from a rework more than a direct buff. In the build up, it's a lot cheaper now. It's not as strong, but way cheaper. And it's been getting picked up a lot. The thing is, though, the Medallion is pretty much unchanged. And that raw Medallion of Courage, I think it's always been slept on. It's pretty cheap. And it gives you so much mana regen. We'll get there when we get there, but it's a good item. If you buy a Medallion in most games, It'll be fine. Like even if it's not the right item, you're only losing 1,000 gold even if it's the wrong item. Blink Dagger. Let's throw that in B tier. Is it always good? It's a really good item. The two things holding it back are the price and the fact that it's no stats. But you know the active is so good that who needs stats when you're like untouchable? You know you can blink, you can be exactly where you need to be, and it does emphasize something really important on supports. Positioning. Positioning is key. A lot of the items that we're going to be ranking, people buy them, and those are just like crutches for bad positioning. We'll get there when we get there. But Blink Dagger, it lets you initiate, it lets you get out. It's the best at those two things. Well, getting out, you know, whatever. But it's like the best initiation item. You're not there, you're there out of nowhere. You know, they can't do anything about that in a blink of an eye. But it's on A tier because the price. You know, you're spending 2,000 gold. You could be buying something else. So it's going to keep it held back a little bit, but it is still a really good item. Blitz Knuckles. Knock knock, it's Knuckles. What builds into Blitz Knuckles? Nothing good. That is a carry item. Witchblade, Monkey King Bar, and Shadow Blade. Monkey King Bar you might see on like a weird like, you know, maybe like a 50-minute support snapfire might want it, but you know we'll get into that later. And then Shadow Blade. I feel like Glimmer Cape is just too good to consider Shadow Blade. Obviously they have, you know, different uses, but they're not uses I necessarily agree with. So we'll get there. Bloodstone. When you read the Bloodstone, let's read this for a second. When you read Bloodstone, there are so many lines of text here that one of them has to be good, right? And it is definitely a very strong item. It kind of, you know, doesn't do anything like in particular insanely well besides maybe I mean it's pretty unique in that it has spell lifesteal. But other than that, it just beefens up your hero, you know, and it's not beefing up your supports, it's beefing up your timber saws. I buy it on Beastmaster, Fight Me. Your Leshraks, you know, Storm Spirit. It's a core item. None of those heroes are supports. It's just way too expensive for supports. So even though it's, you know, it's got some unique things about it, I'm not gonna see it in any game where it matters. Bloodthorn. Once again, it's just too expensive, I think. 6,000 gold. And it's like a carry-esque upgrade from the Orchid, which is already a carry-esque item almost. So we're just gonna throw that in carry items and 6,000 gold. You could buy 3 support items with that much money, pretty much. Boots. Brown boots. Now, I mean, obviously you're always gonna buy brown boots in every game. But what I could do is say people are buying boots too early, so we're gonna put it down here. You can hold off on your boots. I think people are buying boots when they should be. You know, most people know when they get their boots. You get some stat items, you get your boots, whatever. They're just always good. What are you gonna do about it? You know. There might be some people that don't like the first item boots. You know, you might get made fun of for having your first item boots. I'm gonna let you know a little secret. I buy boots first every game on Omni Night. Don't tell. Oh. Don't tell anyone. But they do let you. The early boot lets you do things that you normally couldn't, like chasing heroes that you normally wouldn't be able to chase. Running away from heroes that would normally be able to catch you. But in some, you know, matchups that doesn't matter. If you're and the reason I buy them on Omni Night is because I'm more roaming. I'm running around a lot, and I'm trying to help multiple lanes. Where if you're just gonna be stationed in lane, helping your carry, basically like a harass turret. You don't need the boots that early. I haven't really had a problem with people buying boots too early, but maybe like I guess it's weird. Like an aggressive support doesn't need them necessarily because they can get more aggression out of stat items, and mana regen and the like, and healing items to fill for their gap. Band of Elven Skin. Don't buy it. Builds into Power Treads, Dragon Lance, Yasha. Those are carry items. So yeah, we're not gonna worry about that. Even the Dragon Lance. I do sneak in Dragon Lance. Oh my. I need to fix my... I didn't realize that was going to be a problem. Just throw that right there. Don't tell anyone, but I'd buy Dragon Lance on Jakiro just because I go for max attack range. But, you know, whatever. I'm not buying the Band of Elveskin first, that's for sure. Let's move that up again. Bottle. You know, bottle's the best item for mid right now. And if you're real homie and you're support, you just buy your mid a bottle. Just do it. No, don't do that. Well, the main reason is that's like all the money you'll have forever. There probably is a support that can live with no items, like literally no items, and that would be really cool. Really cool meta change. I don't see him though. I'm looking at the hero list right now. I'm sure he exists though. Just like a support that actually doesn't need any items and can just give their mid a bottle. And then that mid is 600 gold, 700 gold ahead. It's really unique that it's an item that's fully shareable when shareable items kind of have been mostly removed from the game. If you want to do some weird strategy where you buy your mid a bottle and then he wins his lane every time because he's 600 gold ahead, that could be cool. That could be niche. You can try that. You probably need to coordinate with your mid. Maybe you're queued with a mid. But other than that, we're just going to call it a carry item. Not going to worry about it too much. Bracer. Bracer is not good. It used to have a unique role as a support where you just need to get a little bit tankier in lane. It's been outclassed though. The gold per health and even the health regen, it's just not good enough. So we're just gonna call it bad. We're not gonna put it in carry items because it's even bad for carries. And also, I want to separate it from the idea of carries should be buying this, but not supports. It's like supports used to want to buy bracers, and now they shouldn't. And not because it moved to a carry item, just because it moved to being bad. Strongly outclassed by this bad boy up here, but you know, we got a lot of items to go to get there, but we'll see. Iron Branch. I mean, what am I gonna say? What am I gonna say? Yo, my support's got too many branches? No. Who's gonna say that? You're never gonna get flamed for having too many iron branches because they're so cheap. They're slot fillers. I only buy 2 because they build into magic wand, so I'll buy my 2 for my wand. But like if I saw someone with 4 branches, it's like, okay, whatever, dude. Like he wasted 50 gold on too many branches, but they're the most gold cost-effective item. So like, how could you get mad? You're never gonna have a bad time buying branches. I would recommend 2 if you bump more. More power to you. You know, people eat their branches with tangos. That makes me too sad, dude. I can't do it. I literally can't. You know, that branch is like a part of me, and so I'm not planning that thing. Broadsword. Nothing good. I'm checking what it builds into. Nothing good. Builds into carry items. Builds into Blade Mail, Baleful Fury, Crystallis, Shadow Blade. Even for any of those items, they're like the last thing you're buying. Even if you were buying a Blade Mail, it's like the last thing you should buy in there. All right. Buckler. Buckler. Let's see. What's it built into? Greaves, Vlad's, a Silk Harass. It's pretty cheap, you know, 425 gold. That's the same as the other ones, right? That's the same as the headdress. I'm gonna rank it as situational with anticipation to eventually find. So there's some competition here. It's exactly 425 gold. It's exactly a cheap item plus a recipe. The competition is Headdress and Ring of Basilius. And honestly, it loses that competition to both of them, I think. It builds into some decent items, but you don't need to start the lane with a buckler when you could be starting the lane with a headdress. The armor, and it's a decent amount of armor, but the armor, I think, is going to get outclassed by the health regen from the headdress. It is 3 armor. 3 for yourself, 2 for your carry. It's not terrible, but we're comparing that to 2 health regen, which will add up more and will be, in most cases, better, especially because it builds up into its own array of really good items, the headdress. Butterfly. I can't think of a situation where I'd want my support having a butterfly. We're going to call that a carry item. Chainmail. Now, we were just talking about the buckler. Armor is pretty good. It's just like, it just gets outclassed by the health regen of other cheap items. If we look at buckler, if we look at chainmail, am I covering it up? Not quite. Look at that. Phase boots, situationally good. Witchblade, who cares? Blade mail, whatever. Like, very situational. But then medallion and mech. Ooh, those are some very good items. And you can start with the casual chainmail. It can be. There's nothing wrong with, some games just stacking armor can save your life. And so getting an early chainmail, pretty good. It's. I wouldn't buy necessarily a chainmail unless it builds into something, But like if I am buying a medallion and I'm not planning on harassing them with a Blightstone, then I'm going to get that chainmail first, and it's going to be good. And it builds into good items. So we're just going to call it good in most games. If you have a casual, even if you don't build anything, and this is something that also, if there's a good early stat item, you don't have to upgrade it all the way, and that's important. I've seen a lot of sunken cost mentality where it's like, oh, I bought a windlace on accident, so now I'm going to buy a Yules. I'm going to spend 2,000 more gold to buy a Yules. No, just, I bought chainmail. I thought it was the right item. I thought I was supposed to go medallion, and then I realized medallion sucks this game. Just sit in the chainmail. Well, medallion's pretty cheap, so you can upgrade it, but whatever. Just sit in the chainmail. It's fine. Circlet. Circlet is not great. Builds into our stat items and Urn of Shadows. So we're never going to really build a Bracer, never really going to build a Wraithband. Very situationally going to build a Null Talisman. And Urn of Shadows. Thank God it's at the end of the alphabet, because I'm going to get a lot of flack for when I'm talking about Urn of Shadows. We're just going to call Circlet bad though. For the price of 3 branches, you get the value of 2 branches. Just buy the 2 branches. If you're going to buy an urn, maybe that's like the only case I'd see a circlet coming out of the fountain early game. But, whatever. Clarity potion is going to float near the top. Supports use a lot of mana because they're usually focused around their spells, especially in the early game. So I'm just gonna call it always good. It's not a must-have. You don't need clarities every game, but every game you buy clarities, you're always gonna find a use for it. Whether or not you use them yourself, or at some point you just notice your carry's low and you just toss them a juice. You just say, hey, have a clarity, whatever, bro. You're always gonna find a use for the clarity when you buy it, but you don't need to buy it every game. Does it help you spam your spells early on? And it works pretty fast. It's very cost effective. You're getting 6 mana regen for 25 seconds. How much mana is that? I don't even whip out the old calculator. It's gonna destroy the screen, but Gotta do what you gotta do. What about the calculator? We're getting 6 mana regen. This I'm looking in game to find this for 25 seconds. 150 mana. Is that right? That doesn't sound right. All I know is it's pretty good. 150. Is that right? 6 mana regen for 25 seconds. How could that be wrong? It's less than I thought, but it is pretty cheap still. And it's pretty good. And, you know, 50 gold, you're not going to miss that 50 gold necessarily. And when you're sitting on, I mean, usually it's like, if I'm sending my courier out and I buy, let's say I buy a windlace and I buy a couple of sentries and wards, and then I just got like 100 gold left over, or 50, or even 50 gold, I might sneak in a clarity, you know, just sneak it on there, whatever. It does slow your courier down if it's the only consumable, but usually that's not a huge problem. So that's that. The Claymore. I think Claymore's going to be a carry item. Builds into Bale Fury, Satanic, Mage Slayer. Yeah, don't build any of those. Cloak. We have to throw Cloak in situational, but it is good. A casual Cloak can go a long way. 15%, 500 gold for 15% magic resist. If you're playing against a Zeus or a Leshrac, or even like a Snapfire or Lena, or someone that just does like a big burst, even a Hoodwink or something, a Lion, you know, I'm naming a lot of heroes, but these are like the big strong, like these are heroes with like strong spells. That casual Cloak will go a long way. Would I say it's good in most games? Probably not. Yeah, no, it's situational. You should identify, do they have a lot of magic damage? I can get a Cloak. I can get a Glimmer Cape. A Pipe. Hood of Defiance, Pipe. But you shouldn't just like, you know, good in most games would mean even if you accidentally bought it, it will still be good. If you accidentally bought a Cloak, you're probably wasting your money. Unless you're, I don't know. Courier. I don't even want to, like, can I just like delete this icon? Like, where would I even put this? You just start the game with the Courier. Sure, must have. This is a weird tier. I mean, this tier list has not been weird so far, but it has all the new items. So I'm surprised Courier's still on there, but whatever. Use your donkey. That's all I can say about the Courier. You click the button. Every time you want to buy items, don't go back to Fountain. This is probably, you know, some noob advice, but just send the donkey. Unless you're really low, then, you know, and you have nothing to do, you can go back to Fountain, but you probably shouldn't. I shouldn't even say that. It's encouraging bad behavior. Crimson Guard. I might have to call it bad. It is 4,000 gold. Gives you this. It's like very situational, but it's as situational as Blade Mail, I would say. And I put Blade Mail as bad. So Crimson Guard on support. Usually that's like an item you want to leave to your cores. And it's also an item that you would only want in very rare circumstances. Those circumstances being, they have a PL. That's it. I mean, even other illusion heroes, it's not as effective. But you pop a Crimson Guard against PL. Those illusions aren't going to do any damage. I just want to throw that out there. I've never bought it against Broodmother. I wonder if it would help against Broodmother. Probably not, especially because she'll take over the game before you even have 4,000 gold. But against PL, it'll turn off the illusions, but you'll still lose all your mana to his Diffusal Blade. So it's a weird thing going on. Crown. Let's see. Crown builds into Meteor Hammer, Solar Crest, Rod of Atos, and Veil of Discord. And Helm of the Dominator Dagon. I listed those two last because I skipped over them because you shouldn't be buying those. It's situational. It is a good item. Stat, you know, money per gold. It's not too terrible. You're getting 4 attributes. Well, it's not the best as compared to, you know, the cheaper alternatives, but it also Okay, well, let's get this out of the way. Never buy a crown if you're not going to build anything out of it. But when you are going to build something out of a crown, you can get the crown a little bit earlier than like the other components, and it'll help out a little bit. And it does build in good items, so we're gonna throw it up in situational and not bad, like Circlet. Yules. Should I throw Yules in good in most games or situational? It's gonna be floating around B or C tier. I think if you're good with the Yules, so here's the scary thing about Yules is, if you Yule someone at the wrong time, not only can you save the enemy, but your team's gonna know it, and your team will flame you. So Yules is scary for sure, but it is really good. Defensive Yules, like I like Yules because a lot of games you can buy it offensively, like with intent to use it offensively, and then you're still going to find a bunch of scenarios where you want to use yourself. You can buy it with intent to use it defensively, not necessarily using yourself, but using Shadow Fiend, Blinks, Yules. He's about to hit your carry with a big fat Requiem. You just Yules him, and then it screws up his whole combo. So it's that's scary by itself. You have to react fast and be close enough, but using it as a combo breaker is pretty good. And then it situationally, well, there we go. I think I just answered my own question. It situationally helps yourself. It's if there's a good reason to use it as a combo breaker, then you'll get other good use out of it. So we're gonna put it definitely above bad. Does that make it good in most games? Yeah, it's a tier list. There's always some wiggle room, but we're gonna call it C. And just call it a day. I would say if you've properly identified a good reason to have Yules, maybe there's a Kunkka and you need to protect yourself from X marks the spot. Maybe there's that Shadow Fiend you need to stop his combo, or OD. OD's a little bit harder. He can do his combo from further back. But if you buy Yules, you're not going to regret it most of the time. And it is really good support stats. It's giving you mana regen, move speed. Yeah, we'll leave it, and it dispels, yourself. We're gonna leave it in C, but just remember it's pretty good. Dagon. We're not gonna put this in carry items because I just want you to know it is bad. It's it's one of those things where it's opportunity cost. Is the effect terrible? 400 damage? Not terrible. Is the price point a little bit too high? 2,700 gold? Yeah, it's a little bit too high on the price. And if I could do... Are the other Dagons on here? Probably not, right? Because they would be alphabetical. I just want to get this out of the way. Dagon... Dagon 1 is pretty good value. But every time you upgrade that Dagon, you're spending more and more gold for just plus 100 damage. So if you do end up buying a Dagon, you don't have to get a Dagon 5. You don't have to get a Dagon 3 or 2 or 1 or 4. You can just stop at 1. It could be extremely situational when you use it to instantly kill illusions, which it does do. Maybe there's like a Luna with found a what do you call it? Not a Mantis style, but the neutral item. An Illusionist Cape. If there's like a Luna, found an Illusionist Cape, she's just running her illusion down lanes, clearing lanes, and it's your only choice to get rid of that illusion, then I think it's actually pretty good. I think it's pretty good in that situation. But notice how as an answer to Illusionist Cape, an item you get at 40 minutes. Don't rush a Dagon. It's just usually not worth it. Even on cores, really. I've had a hard time winning with Dagon. I've played a lot of Puck, Nyx. Usually I can't win with it, even though those are allegedly good heroes. So it's a weird item. But it's like a noob trap item, so whatever. Demon Edge. I don't believe anything good builds out of it. That's a very carry-esque item. Let me just double check. Rapier, Monkey King Bar, Daedalus. There's a few like Snapfire, Wind Ranger supports that might want to buy a late game Monkey King Bar. That's up to them, but I don't think it's very good. Desolator. I'm going to not just put this in carry items. I'm going to throw it in bad, which is a little bit better. It's an upgrade. It's technically an upgrade. Bad, well, it's a weird category because it's kind of a downgrade, but also the point is there might be a support somewhere out there that sneaks in the Desolator. Like, you know, I'm not talking about like little frail int supports. I'm talking about Mars. I'm talking about maybe just Mars. I don't know who else. I had someone else in mind. But the point is, we have what we call in the business a value deso. And what's a value deso? It's when you're winning the game, the enemy team's going to respawn in 30 seconds. You need to take the ancient a little bit faster, and you're sitting on a pile of gold because you just like cleared all like the racks and everything. Just you can just walk up to the enemy fountain and buy a deso, you know? So I'm not saying I never want to say deso, but the buildings better be falling. That's all I can say. Diffusal Blade. I'm going to rank it as carry item. It's not too hot when we're looking at the stats here. We see 24 agility and 12 int. The active is pretty good. The passive is... You're probably not going to right-click enough for the passive, but those stats aren't really useful to support. Even the int is not enough int to warrant the price. So we're going to save that item for the Rikis and the PLs and just call it a carry item. The active is really good, but it's you're giving up any tank ability, movement speed, things that supports really struggle with staying alive. Because essentially you just want to stay alive and cast your spells, which relies on positioning and tankiness. Not something that the Diffusal Blade helps with. Dragon Lance. We'll call it a carry item. I don't know. I can't think of a support where I'd want to see. It is pretty, it's been buffed a few times, so it is pretty cost effective for the stats, and the stats alone, and even and the attack range. But that's it, you know. Dust. I'm gonna say dust is always good. I mean, you might be thinking, Steven, what if they have no invis heroes? Then dust isn't good, right? Usually right. But when they don't have invis heroes, you know what they're gonna have at some point, usually, is a Glimmer Cape, which you want to be able to dust off anyways. And here's the point. The point here is I'm gonna put dust in A tier and not B tier, because if I put dust in B tier, you guys are gonna think, yeah, dust. You know, everyone knows dust is good. Like, who's arguing that? But no, I'm gonna put dust in A tier because I want that to like stick out, and like, I just want you to remember, dust, 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 dust. Because the sooner you remember dust, the better. You know, you see, if dust is in B tier, then what's gonna happen is someone's gonna escape with the Glimmer Cape, and they're gonna go, oh yeah, dust time. Now I'm throwing dust in A tier because I want you to realize they're building Glimmer before they even have it. I want you to look at their inventory, see that they have a Cloak, and go, this guy's going for a Glimmer Cape. And then just throw dust on your courier. It doesn't matter, you know. If your slots are full, maybe whatever, but just get the dust sooner than later, and you're gonna feel like the king of the world when you have that dust before they've even gone invis before. And you get them on that first time, you're gonna like, you know, you're going to be on that voice comms like, guys, guess who just dusted that carry? Next item, Eagle Song. Doesn't build anything good. Builds in the Butterfly and Swift Blink. Those are going to be your carry options. We're not going to worry about that. Echo Saber. I think this is another carry option. It doesn't build in anything anymore. It is pretty decent stats for what it's worth. But is it decent stats? Yeah, you get some free strength. I'm doing some, you know, quick math. So you get some free strength, and that's good mana regen. But the good mana regen items, I think, are going to be Medallion, which I haven't reached yet. But, you know, Medallion, stand in here. The Echo Saber, not so much. Enchanted Mango. I'm going to throw that in good in most games. I think it gets outclassed by the Clarity a little bit. Actually, does it? Because the Clarity was only 150. Yeah, it restores 100 mana. I would say the Clarity is usually a little bit better. It does give you a little bit of health regen. But honestly, the only time I ever use mangoes is when I dig them up with the shovel. Which is, you know, it's whatever. Oh, and also, Trusty Shovel's not on here. These are just items you can buy. Let me throw a Trusty Shovel up in Always Good. Mentally, you know. Just remember I said that because I will use that Trusty Shovel till the game ends. I'm digging up bounty runes for the entire game. I don't care. I don't care that we have tier 3 neutral items. I am literally sitting on that shovel. Well, okay, unless I find like a must-have tier 3 item for my hero. Or even tier 4. Usually tier 4s I might stop using the shovel. But up until that 37-minute mark, you better be digging. And if you're not, you're just giving up money for your team. I'm just throwing it out there. Energy Booster. We're just going to throw it up in Always Good. It builds into the Mana Boots. It's essentially like Mana Boot plus regular boot. Or Mana Boot minus regular boot is Energy Booster. It's just good. Mana Boot's so good. This is pretty much the only ingredient. So it's also so good. E-Blade. It's really late game, I think, option. I would rush the E-Blade on like some Nyx Assassin builds. And obviously like Meepos and stuff rush it. But those are more core positions. I think I have to throw it in. I don't know if I want to throw it in carry items because there are going to exist support games where you want an E-Blade. But do I just call it bad? Or do I call it situational? It's a weird item to call situational. It's like very, very situational to the point where it's pretty much just bad. And those situations are going to be essentially, you know, the games where you need a Ghost Scepter to survive, taken to the next level. Now you can use that Ghost Scepter to help your carry survive, you know. Fairy Fire. I would say it's good in most games. Essentially, you know, Fairy Fire and Mangoes kind of compete with each other. They're the same price. They kind of achieve a similar thing. And so what I'll do is if I have a certain build, a lot of my starting item builds for heroes has like a pool of gold left over. And if that pool of gold can fit a Mango or a Fairy Fire, I ask myself at the start of the game, and you should think like this. This might sound like much, but you should literally be thinking like this every single game because it's just like the most important thing ever. You should be thinking every single game, planning your items, everything. And see their enemies. Think about when the enemy's going to be strong. Think about when your team's going to be strong. Well, more importantly, like I would say know thy enemy is way more important than know what your team can do. And you got to think, okay, I'm playing this hero. Think out the lane in your head. Is there going to be a situation where you need more mana? Or is there going to be a situation where you're trading hits back and forth and you can bait them a little bit with the Fairy Fire, which is the best part about the Fairy Fire, that you know, they'll overextend thinking they got you killed. Maybe they'll even dive the tower a little bit thinking, oh, you're just one click away. And then a well-timed Fairy Fire can just turn the whole thing around. So it is very good. But you got to ask yourself, do I want Mangoes or Fairy Fires? Jeez. Okay, I'm gonna have to say good in most games for salve. My carry players are gonna flame me for this one, but I play healers, so I'm gonna like my spells heal you. You know. Is it always good though? You know, if you buy a salve, it's not like a bad thing. So maybe I should throw in always good. It's like this clarity. Like even if you buy clarity and you don't get to use it the way you wanted, you'll still use it eventually. If you buy a salve and you don't really get the way you want it, if you don't get to use it like in lane, you'll find use for it eventually. So I guess I'll throw it in always good, but just keep in mind if you're playing. Yeah, I'll throw it in always good for, you know, just to emphasize. The job is to keep the carry going. You know, if he's missing health, you salve him up. If he's missing health, you give him the old tangy. It's just, you know, it's gonna be. I don't know if you're ever gonna. The only regret you would have is that it's a little bit more pricey than the other healing options. It's 110 gold. So it is like the most expensive, you know, raw healing option, but you know it'll be, you'll find a use for it at some point, I can imagine. And truthfully, you're probably not buying them enough. I'm not buying them enough. Usually I'll, you know, it's like the preemptive dust where I say if you have that dust before you need it, you're gonna feel really cool. That's probably what people with salves feel like. I don't know. I don't do it, so I wouldn't know. But if you have that salve, before you, because I'll buy a salve, if my carry's low, I'll buy the salve and send it out. And then, you know, there's that waiting period where my carry probably would rather have me have the salve right now, you know. So you should probably have it. They'll probably be happier than my carries. Force staff. I'm gonna call it situational. I see people buy force staff as like a core item in a lot of heroes. No. Stop buying force staff. Just buy a little bit less. It can save your carry, yes. It can be used to initiate a little bit, sure, but that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for like, you know, I'm gonna put it like it compares to Blink Dagger. They have similar goals, and then like Force Staff is like the support version of Blink Dagger, but Blink Dagger is just so effective that it like completely outclasses Force Staff in most cases, which is why this is not bad. It's why it's situational, because there are cases, certain heroes, you're facing an enemy Slark, you're facing, you know, I don't know what other heroes you need to push away from. Slark is a good one though, because it breaks the leash. So if your carry's caught, like if there's a Slark in the game on an enemy team, this like goes like boom, it goes way higher, because you got to be able to split that, you break that chain and get your carry out of there, or yourself out of there. But then honestly, you know, I see a lot of supports buying Force Staff where it's like yeah, I'm sure you think, you know, I'm sure it's useful, whatever, but like it's like it's just like a low, is it low impact? It's kind of low impact. It's not very far. Maybe it saves them, but you know, I don't know. I think other items in the similar price range can save them even better, like Mech and Glimmer Cape. I might be biased because I don't play heroes that I think Force Staff is good on. But even the heroes that it's like good on, I think, you know, I see it being bought way too early or often. Flamey for that one. I don't know what to say. Gauntlets of Strength. Just leave it to the carries. It builds into Soul Ring. And so maybe some supports out there think Soul Ring will be good. I don't like Soul Ring. That's another one. I don't know. I think it's just, if you activate Soul Ring too many times, you know, you're going to be too low health to really be able to do anything. So then you got to buy health regen to counteract the Soul Ring. But like, what are you doing? You know, like, why buy a Soul Ring and then buy health regen just to get mana? So you just bought two things instead of just buying mana. You know, that's just the way I feel about it. Gem. Your average OT player might throw gem in situational. I'm a bold man. I go all the way. I don't care. I'm gonna say gem is good in most games, mostly as another moral message. It's gem. It's gem. Okay, so you know what's good in every game? You know what's a must-have? Vision. And you know how you deny the enemy team of vision? With a gem. Now, if you're bad at the game and you're losing the gem, I guess it's not good. I don't know, but maybe it's still situational. I don't know. The point is, the gem is very, very effective at. Yeah, I think I have to throw in situational because here's the deal. When you have the gem and you're able to have like map control, you're able to secure that map control with a gem. When your team, when you can leave your base and be relatively safe, because maybe your team better be stronger. That gem is going to kind of deny the ability for the enemy team to make a comeback, because that enemy team, if they're really far behind, what they're going to need to do is get good vision and make really good plays. And if you deny them their vision, then they can't make those really good plays. And so I've had plenty of Omni Night games where I've been ahead, and there's no compelling reason to buy a gem besides the fact that we're out of sentries. So I'm out of sentries, maybe for one reason, maybe for another, but all I know is it's like a litmus test, you know. We need vision so badly that we've run out of sentries. So then I buy the gem. And hopefully you're relatively safe. Omni Knight is a relatively safe hero. Others, squishy supports might not be so much. Just because you've died a lot, and this is like something you got to realize, just because you're like 1 in 10 doesn't mean you're bound to die again soon. You have to like know why you've been dying and kind of like self-evaluate, like, okay, like, yeah, I died a lot, but that was in lane and that was early game. And now my team is so strong that I don't think I'm going to die again. Like, you got to think about how the game's going to play out. Am I at risk of dying again? And if the answer is no, just buy the gem. I don't know. I mean, you'll probably get flamed. You might lose a couple of games because of it, but you're going to win. The games where you have a gem might feel so easy that, like, maybe that's why I'm so biased towards it. Because when I'm able to buy a gem, it's like they have no options to come back. So I'm going to move it down from B to C just because it is situational. But when you do buy it, it feels good. I'm just going to be honest. Oh, here we got some good support items here. We have Ghost Scepter. I'm going to throw a situational. It is a pretty good item. It's very cheap. The best part about Ghost Scepter is the price. It's only 1,500 gold. So it is very cheap. But if there's no reason to buy the Ghost Scepter, why buy it? If there's a strong physical, or I should say when there's a strong physical enemy carry, get the Ghost Scepter. They'll hate you. There's a Phantom Assassin, Ghost Scepter. There's a Riki Maru, Ghost Scepter. A Templar Assassin. You buy that Ghost Scepter, it literally is such a headache for these carries. They're like, oh my god. So these carries that can only do physical damage, and a lot of these carries might threaten one-shotting you or one comboing you. You get that Ghost Scepter, and it's such a pain in the ass for them. Because now they gotta decide, okay, do I just keep playing, or do I have to spend 5,000 gold on a nullifier? And once they have the nullifier, it's curtains. You did what you could do, but they are gonna kill you again. But the fact that you spent 1,500 gold and forced them to spend 5,000 gold, that's pretty huge. I would say you might want to avoid it if you have a Necrophos on your team, because now you're like that Necrophos has a Ghost Scepter built into his hero, and now you buy a second Ghost Scepter essentially, and then they buy the Nullifier to counter the raw number of Ghost Scepters. Now you're getting that Necrophos killed. So but otherwise, when you want to buy it, just save up. It's a very cheap item. It's very nice. Glimmer Cape. Is it good? I'm floating between B and C. It is good in most games. It's a very annoying item. I really hate Glimmer Cape on the enemy team because it's so annoying. And that's where, you know, we throw dust up here. But can I make this category smaller? No. Like this is annoying. Because I'm going to be throwing more items down here. Whatever. If I scroll out, there's a bunch of ads. So that's why I'm like avoiding scrolling out. But if I have to scroll out, I guess so. Glimmer Cape. It's a good item. It's annoyingly good. So I think I have to throw it in B. It's just for what it does, it's so cheap. It costs so little gold. And the active is just so annoying. You know what? I'm gonna knock it back down to C because here's the deal. Well, I don't know. Like it's been annoying. So when I used to play offlane in core, Glimmer Cape would be pretty annoying. And then I found my you know, I found my dust. My dust, like, as soon as I started buying more dust, Glimmer Cape became way less annoying. And to the point where I'm, like, laughing at the enemy for even having a Glimmer Cape. It's like, yeah, nice job spending 1,500 gold when my dust countered it. So I think, actually, you know, I like to pretend that both teams are going to be playing well, you know. And I would really hate for you to... It's just... It is very cheap. It's very cost effective. It has, you know, the cloak, which is a situational item, but but otherwise the cloak is pretty good. But it is easily countered with dust and stuff. It is good against certain spells. Like so, even like the magic resist it gives, is really insane. So like if they have a Necrophos, you throw the Glimmer Cape on someone getting scythed. You're probably going to save their life. Like 45% magic resist is a lot. But that's that scenario that I just described is a situational scenario. So I think I'm going to throw it in situational. It's easily countered. But no, I will talk about this though, and this is important. And I mentioned this at the start of the video. Filling the gaps. You want to fill the gaps of your hero. Are you playing a hero with lots of stuns, aggression? You know, this is a lot of support heroes. You know, you look at the int category, you see, let me switch tabs again, or windows. You look at the int category on these support heroes, you have AA, Bane, Crystal Maiden, Dark Willow. These are all very aggressive heroes. You know, they're using spells on the enemy team where Ogre, you know, they're hitting the enemy, and then their gap is, you know, low mobility. A lot of these support heroes have low inherent mobility. So these low mobility support heroes, the Glimmer is going to be pretty good. If you buy Glimmer every game on Witch Doctor, you're going to love it, you know. But it is a little bit, you know, there's a little bit of a challenge describing every item for all these different types of support heroes. Because now what's the other type of support hero? You have Omni Knight. He's about saving people. You have Abaddon. He's about saving people. And they're low mobility a little bit, but also they're very fast heroes. So they gain like some mobility points there. Sand King. Like if I ever see with a Glimmer Cape on Sand King, I'll lose my mind. Like he already goes invis. You know. So you know, it is hard to describe, but just know I'm gonna throw the Glimmer Cape in situational. Does that mean you should only situationally buy it on Witch Doctor? Probably not. You probably should buy it every game. Don't look at that game. I think I had it in this game. This game was easy. This is the easiest game of my life. I just bought a Glimmer Cape and Aether Lens, and that was like a late game pipe because they had a Zeus. It's like, Situational doesn't mean situationally buy it on the hero it's good on. It means it's a situationally good item. And if that situation is you're playing Witch Doctor or Lich or a hero that has aggressive spells, but not the defensive spells to keep your carry alive, then yeah, go ahead. Oh, and then the other situation is don't stack too much Invis. Please stop stacking so much Invis. I see teams with 2 Invis heroes then go on and buy a Glimmer Cape. It's not going to help anyone, you know. You have Clinks, you have Bounty Hunter for some reason. God, Bounty Hunter so bad. And then you buy a Glimmer Cape too. That's 3 Invis sources. You know, they're going to get the vision they need. And if they don't, they're just going to lose to the other Invis heroes. So it doesn't really matter. Gloves of Haste, next item. Built in the Hand of Midas. I thought it built into the Glimmer Cape. That's old news. We're going to say that's a carry item. Don't worry about it. You know, the must-have right now is only Donkey. So we'll just scroll away from that, unfortunately. Or do I need to scroll out? God, these ads are so obtrusive. Maybe I edit those out in post. I don't know. Oh, what can we do? Can I like, I don't know. Just, I don't want to like leave the donkey off screen. That's going to be confusing. Oh, I hate those ads. And I don't even see the top of the page. It doesn't even help. Yeah, no, okay. We gotta just scroll in. Alright, Daedalus, don't buy it. It's a carry item. If you're a level 25 support Snapfire that wants to triple Chungus blast people, go ahead, go for it, whatever. But that's like beyond situational. We're just calling it a carry item. Greaves. Guardian Greaves. So Guardian Greaves are a very strong item, like objectively speaking. They are also quite expensive. And the thing about Guardian Greaves is I don't know if it's that much of an upgrade from Mechanism anymore. Mechanism, I would say, is an insanely strong item. When I get to M, that thing's going high on the tier list. But now Greaves? Just because you have a mech doesn't mean you upgraded the Greaves. You spent 1,800 gold on the mech. Are you really going to spend 3,000 more gold to buy the Greaves? You don't have to. You don't have to. So we're going to call Greaves situational because there's a really good situation. Essentially, you want to heal your team and you're doing it with the mech, and then this situation comes up where it's like the weird situation. It's not it's a little bit weird because situational is kind of implying look out for this scenario and then buy this item. Well, Greaves is essentially the scenario where you're going to want to buy Greaves is that there's no other scenarios to buy other items. You bought your mech. Well, you don't always have to buy a mech, but I do think every team should have a mech. Let's say you bought a mech. You can stop there. But now, what if there's no other item you need to buy for the game? Well, then you can consider upgrading the Greaves. The biggest upgrade with the Greaves is essentially lower cooldown. So mech heals every 65 seconds. Let me switch windows. Mech heals every 65 seconds for 275. Greaves heals every 40 seconds for 300. We're going to call that the same amount of healing. 275 for 300. It's the same amount of healing, whatever. 200 mana, doesn't matter. The Dispel could be useful if you need to Dispel yourself a little bit more, like you're getting hit with like a really weird slow, like Arc Warden slows or something. Or Orchid, Malevolence. The Greaves could be good. But otherwise, just know that mech is pretty damn good. And these are only a minor upgrade. It's an upgrade I invest in sometimes, but not always. Hand of Midas. We'll call it bad. We'll call it bad because, you know, you might be playing Ogre and maybe you want your Hand of Midas. Or maybe you're playing like Phoenix or some weird support. And you just think, oh, I can sneak in a Midas and then buy my support items. You know what happens then? Maybe you won a game with it and then you felt good because you had a lot of money and like your inventory is pretty thick and you're doing some things. But you know what happens when you lose the games with Hand of Midas? It's like embarrassing. You know, you're losing, you're playing Ogre, you got your Midas, your team clicks on you. It's 25 minutes in, and your inventory is Midas and then 2/3 of an Aether Lens. It's like, realistically, you're only buying like 2 items on support. And then if you're buying this Hand of Midas, that's like your 0th item. You're saying, I'm not going to buy a first item. I'm going to get this because I want more gold later. So you're buying the Midas so you can get your other items. But then, like, if you just skip the Midas, you're online faster. You know, the 2,000 gold price range, you could have a Blink Dagger. You could have a full, you know, actual support item. It's like Midas finally pays itself off when you're like 4 or 5 slotted. Like, when is that going to happen? It's just not great. Headdress. We're just going to move on. Headdress, I'm going to say, is always good. It is very cheap. The health regen is huge. I don't see anyone regretting buying a Headdress. Maybe you can argue there's some opportunity cost there. But honestly, if you start most games with a Headdress, you know, it's gonna be pretty good. It's gonna go silently smoother. You might like not have such a hard time in laning. You don't necessarily know why. There's a good chance the Headdress is why. I'm just throwing that out there. Heart of Tarrasque. It's giving. Oh, and for the record, it's giving your carry and yourself both 2 health regen. So that's like 4 health regen total. I would say if you're playing a support that's trying to give your carry a little bit more space, which is very good, if you're able to support from lane and give your carry all the XP, that's fantastic. Your carry will love that. Well, they'll hate it, but they'll win and they won't know why. It's because you gave them a bunch of free XP. And I say they'll hate it because they're, where's my support? But no. So yeah, it's like, and then it's 0.5 health regen for yourself. So 2.5 health regen. That's like not bad at all. That's almost the price of 2 rings of regen, which is, you know, now you're just sharing with your carry a little bit. It's fine. And it builds into really good items too. It builds into Mech, Holy Locket, and Pipe. Should I just switch screens? I might as well switch screens at this point. I already said everything I had to say, but it builds into these 3 very good support items, defensive healing items, and it's very cheap itself. I think auras are really strong and shouldn't be slept on. You know, a lot of times they're skipped over. And in certain heroes, if you don't really need, like, if you don't really need other starting items, you might ask yourself, which aura should I get this game? There's 3 auras. Which one should I get? A lot of times Headdress is the choice. Heart of Tarrasque. I'm not saying you should never buy a heart, but if you have heart money, yeah, no, it's a good core. See, this is where like my offlane bias is leaking in. I think it's a really good offlane item, but support, I think just better positioning might be in order if you're looking for heart. Heaven's Halberd. I'm gonna get flamed for this one. But here's my thoughts on Halberd. It fucking sucks. I'm just throwing it out there. It's literally, it disarms. Yeah, it disarms their carry. Sure. Do you want to know? Let me switch windows. Do you want to know what's better than disarming their carry? Doing literally anything else. stunning their carry, using their carry, slowing their carry in most cases. It's just there is probably 1 or 2 carries I consider worth disarming, and here's a hint: they're both ranged. Because disarming a melee carry for 3 seconds, you know what they can do during those 3 seconds? Reposition, just stay close, stay far, whatever they want to do. Like, I've seen Halberd a number of times save someone for 3 seconds, and then 3 seconds later, they just get like obliterated by like a Wraith. Well, this is my Wraith King. I saw a Wraith King obliterate someone. Ursa's just gonna kill them. It's like what my support sees when they buy a Halberd, or even my cores, is, oh yeah, they were gonna kill the guy, then I pressed the button and he survived. So cool. And then what I see is that enemy carry either getting out scot-free, just killing them anyways 3 seconds later, or whatever. And you know, when the base stats of Halberd were, you know, it was like 25% stats resist, you know, I as much as I would say, you know, if I was doing this video 6 months ago, I would have to say, as much as I hate Halberd, the base stats are good, so it's not the worst item ever. Well, those base stats have been nerfed, and nerfed again. So it sucks. 16% stats resist, that's literal neutral item tier. Oh, actually not quite. But anyways, it's just not enough. I would say the Sanjin Yasha, and now this is talking to cores, 25% a little bit better, a little bit more worthwhile. 16% in the evasion. I don't know, dude. My Dota buddies, some of them think Heaven's Helper is like the best item. They're gonna flame me for this one, but you know, whatever. And even there was one other tier list made with this set of tier list. They had Heaven's Helper in S tier, maybe A tier, I forget. It's like, just any other disable, please. I beg you. Just Yules them. Ursa charges at someone, put him in tornado. Don't disarm him for not even 3 seconds, because it's an Ursa, so he has status resist. It's gonna be like 1 second. Just don't do it. We're keeping it in D tier. You can't talk me out of it. Helm of Iron Will. Man, I love a good helm, but only on carries. Sorry, boys. Let the carries enjoy this one. It builds into decent carry items. Well, actually, quite situational carry items, but nothing that support needs. And the stats are pretty cool, but you know, like 6 armor is a lot, and 5 health regen is a good amount for the price, of course. But you know, whatever. Helm of the Dominator. I'll throw it in carry for now. I haven't given Helm of the Dominator a lot of thought. It's obviously nobody's buying it. You don't see it picked up a lot, but I'm gonna say, you know, it might be a sleeper. It might be a sleeper, especially because nobody's buying it, so it might get buffed soon. But you know, whatever. What do we got left? We got a lot of items left, but I have to talk about less and less because I kind of talk about, you know, future items as I'm talking about other items. But let's go ahead and hit up Holy Locket. It's insane. It's really insane. It's a very good item. So much so that it might get nerfed. This video might get outdated in less than a week, because let's talk about free stats. Let's talk about free stats right now. Holy Locket gives you 250 health, 325 mana, plus 3 all attributes. It builds out of a wand. It amplifies your healing and gives you 3 health regen. Okay, so then let's look at the build up. Oh yeah, and also 3 health regen. Okay, so Headdress. It goes from 2 health regen and 2.5 for yourself to just 3 for everyone. Free upgrade. Fluffy Hat. Very cost-effective health. How did I miss Fluffy Hat? I'm already... Holy Locket. Yo, this tier list is missing Fluffy Hat. What the heck? 17. Oh, wait. Did Fluffy Hat exist yet? Oh, what? 727. When did Fluffy Hat come out? Was it really 728? This tier list is called 727 tier list. So if Fluffy Hat came out in 728, it's kind of a shame that I don't get to talk about it. Well, I'll talk about it. New item, Fluffy Hat. Okay. Oh, geez, I'm missing out on some important items. Actually, not really. They're all carry items, except for the Fluffy Hat. Okay, Fluffy Hat. Let's just pretend the donkey is Fluffy Hat, because he's a fluffy animal, right? So we're going to put the donkey... Good in most games. The Fluffy Hat, which this donkey is sitting in for... Oh, wait, I'm on the wrong tab now. Fluffy Hat, which the donkey is sitting in for, is your new and improved health item. Bracer. Back in the day, you know, you're playing support. You're a little bit too fragile. You get your casual bracer, maybe 2 casual bracers. You feel pretty good. That sucks now, especially when you compare it to the cost effectiveness of the Fluffy Hat. I mean, look at that. You're paying 250 gold for 125 health. With a bracer, you're paying 500 gold for 100 health and 1 health regen. It just doesn't compare. You can buy 2 Fluffy Hats, get 250 health, and that's like... Is that 4 times as good? No, it's 2.5 times as good. So it's just your new casual health item. And if that wasn't bad enough, or if that wasn't good enough, look at those items it builds into. 4 staff, which I know I said wasn't that great, but whatever. And the Holy Locket. Here we go. Holy Locket. Am I on the right tab right now? I am. Perfect. But let's go back to this tab where we get to rank Holy Locket. Psych. Let's talk about Holy Locket. So the Fluffy Hat. Look what you're paying for. You paid for the headdress. You paid for the Fluffy Hat, which is already insanely cost effective. You paid for this energy booster, which honestly is pretty cost effective for what it's worth. It's not insane, but whatever. You paid for this magic wand. I haven't reviewed magic wand yet. You know what my opinion of it is? Fantastic. And then just the recipe. The recipe you can call the active, you can call the passive. So the free stats you get a free Fluffy Hat. You go from 125 to 250 health. You get a minor upgrade to your headdress, and you get a minor upgrade to your energy booster. Those minor upgrades already cost the recipe. The recipe just ties it all together. The stats are really good. The heal amp. I play a lot of supports that heal, namely my 2 main supports are Abaddon, and my main support is Omni Knight. They're healing supports. They cannot live without it. So I'm going to put Holy Locket. It's probably going to get nerfed, but I don't imagine it getting nerfed in such a way that it gets kicked out of the B tier. Good in most games. Are you playing a support with 0 healing? You can probably skip it. But if you're playing a support with any healing, it's just great. And even if you don't have direct healing, it pairs very well with Mechanism because of that healing amp. I'm going to throw the headdress / what was this thing called? Hood of Defiance. Is that what it's really called? Yeah, Hood of Defiance. We're going to throw that in situational. Essentially, it's a stepping stone on the way to pipe. If you're going to build a pipe, you know, you can rush the hood a little bit faster. It's pretty cheap. But that's more of a core item anyways. Well, like a Hood Rush is more of a core thing to do. But like a late game pipe, you know, I'm not going to say it's bad. It's not a bad item. I'm going to scroll the window out also, which means we're going to have some ads showing. And now I'm going to essentially crop this window, I think. Let's make it bigger. How will I do this? Probably cut this part out. And then we'll take a color source. We'll call it side panel. Add source. Make it white. Just cover that shit up. Alright. There we go. Perfect. Thought of that just now. And then we're going to move this side panel right there. Perfect. And with that in mind, let me zoom out like one more. There we go. That's ideal. We have figured it out. Have some white space, but whatever. And then let's go ahead and bundle these two in a group. All right, perfect. I can make myself a little bit bigger now too, to fill up some white space. Alrighty. So let's look at the next item. We have Hurricane Pike. Speaking of items that are cost effective, Hurricane Pike is very cost ineffective. Well, okay, let's be honest. So the reason Hurricane Pike is cost ineffective, or I'm claiming it is because look at the build up. Let's move that up. Boom. Look at the build up here. Oh, I just made myself bigger. Now you can't see the build up. Let's revert that. Back to small mode. You need, and I'm covering up still a little bit, but still, you need a Force Staff and a Dragon Lance. Is Force Staff the worst item ever? No. I say it's situational, whatever. Is Dragon Lance the worst item ever? No, it's very stat effective. But what hero is going to need both Force Staff and a Dragon Lance? Sniper? Drow, maybe? But it's like, it's just so much money. 4,500 gold. It's so weird. It's so situational. I don't even know if like, I don't really see it on my supports, but I see it on my cores, and every time I just hate it. So I don't know. I don't even know if anyone's buying it, but I'm just gonna call it bad, just because. Let's move that over again. Keep scrolling it down. Every time we finish a row, we have to resize the window. Okay. Hyperstone. I don't think it builds in anything good. Let me double check. Bloodthorn, Assault Crest, Moonshard, Mjolnir. I will admit it builds into more things than I thought in general, but it builds into only carry items. Those are like big damage, right click items. You don't need those on a support. Let's see, raindrops. I don't really buy raindrops ever. I'm sure they're fine. Are they cost effective? Theoretically, I mean, block 120 damage 6 times. 6 times 120. Technically, they're pretty cost effective, like compared to like a salve. But I don't know. It's like a weird it's like a weird mid game item, like because you can't buy them for the first couple minutes of the game, and then you can buy them. But like the question is, should you still be buying them? Sometimes, I guess. I don't know. It's like the laning phase. I don't even know when they're in the shop, honestly. But like for me, the laning phase is like over almost, and like they help with laning. And then at that point, I just get like my mana boots and stuff. I'm not taking that much damage. But they're pretty cost effective, so I'm not gonna say they're bad or anything. I'll just put them in situational. Shadow Blade. We're gonna throw in carry items. They can combo with Witch Doctor, Crystal Maiden, Channeling Heroes. It's 3,000 gold though. 3,000 gold, you could just spend 1,000 less in a Glimmer Cape. Or you could just like not be a square and not think you're really cool for Witch Doctor ulting while you're Shadow Bladed. You know? Javelin. We're gonna throw Javelin not in carry items but in bad. And right now bad is like a weird mix of like, you know, items that are better than carry items and items that are worse than carry items. We're gonna say Javelin's bad because it used to be good, and then it's not anymore. The numbers have been reduced. It used to be like plus 20 something damage per right click, or I don't know. Maybe it's better again. All I know is what it used to give you 100 magic damage, and now it gives you 70. So like the average damage per proc just went way down to the point where you're not really gonna notice it like you used to. I used to buy it on Snapfire, and I would like E and just boom, 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 and every time it procced, ooh, I felt it. You know, it just. But no, it's the number's too small now. You're not gonna really feel it. You're not gonna love it. So just bad. I don't know. Fight me again. Sanjin Yasha. Or in this case, Sanjin Kaya. Or, alphabetically, this would be Kaya and Sanj. We're going to call that a carry item. The Sanjin Yashas are like, you can buy them, and they're not terrible, and they actually have really good win rates. But, like the Greaves, the time to buy Kaya, Sanj, Sanj, Yasha, all those, is when there's nothing else you need to buy. In most support games, you can find something else to buy, including the Greaves. So we're just gonna throw any like Yasha variants, Kaya, Sanj, Yasha variants in the carry item pool. Same thing with the Crystallis. Morbid Mask. Just call it a carry item. You know, let's not get too worked up about it. The Lifesteal, you're probably not right clicking. So the Morbid Mask would be rating it, like, if I'm rating it, I'd be rating it on, like, rushing the Morbid Mask, or, like, getting it early game, or even, like, building it into a Mask of Madness. None of the scenarios are something your support wants to be doing. It's not even too hot on, like, support Spirit Breaker, where you just want to attack fast. I would say let your carry buy it. Don't worry about it. It does build into Vlad's, and I'll rank Vlad's higher than carry item, but not because it has a Morbid Mask as a component, you know. Lotus Orb. Slept on. More Lotus Orbs, please. Invest. I'm begging you. It is so good. What about it? Oh yeah, I mean it's got like a weird variety of bonuses. And it's honestly good in a lot of cases because of that. I mean, look at the so the Echo Shell is good. So it's good for the active, and it gives you 10 armor, which is a lot of armor essentially, and it gives you good regen. So it gives you regen, armor, and a very unique active. And this active can be used in 2 different ways. That's really important, and they're what I call, I gotta sneeze. There's 2 types of Lotus Orbs essentially. There's a preemptive Lotus, and then there's a reactive Lotus. So proactive, reactive, whatever you want to call it. I call it, you know, I don't have consistent vocabulary for it, but the point is, There's the type of Lotus Orb where maybe your carry's going uphill and you want to, before anything happens to him, you're just going to throw the Lotus on him. So that way, when the enemy team casts spells on him, they reflect. And then there's a different type of Lotus Orb. It's the same item, but you use it differently. And that's the Reactive Lotus. Let's say the enemy team has an Orchid Malevolence on like Queen of Pain or something. You don't use your Lotus Orb until yourself or someone you love gets Orchid Malevolence. And then you dispel the Orchid ASAP. Don't even think about it. It's probably a good choice. You know, just dispel the Orchid with the Lotus. Just bring them back into the fight. The faster you do it, the better, because it's going to take, you know, it's going to take them a second to realize they've been Lotus. They think, oh, geez, I got silenced. I got to, they're right now, their emotions are reacting to getting silenced. The faster you, like, you know, just like, hey, it's okay. We dispelled you. The faster that happens, you know, like, because I've Lotus plenty of people, and I always notice it takes like an extra second for them to notice that they like aren't silenced anymore. So yeah, just Lotus them as fast as possible. And whether it's a Reactive Lotus or a Preemptive Lotus, well, the Reactive Lotus is really easy to identify when you should buy it. It's in situational. If they have a Quap, she built an Orchid. So like, if they have like any Orchids or something, and your hero can fit Lotus into their schedule, then it's really good. I would argue better than BKB on a support, because you're helping both yourself and your carries. Where I've seen a number of supports and offlaners building BKB when they could be buying Lotus, and now instead of being able to help their team and themselves, they can only help themselves. Whoops, let's get out of there. So yeah, I think Lotus is very good. And because there's two different types of Lotuses, whether you buy it for the one reason or the other reason, most games it has a pretty good purpose, like pretty good use. Where did I put my game finder? Okay. Throw that back down. Next item. Maelstrom. Do I have to show Wind Ranger respect and put Maelstrom in situational? No. Fuck you, Wind Ranger. It's a good item on bad heroes. So does that make it a bad item? The best part about Maelstrom is it used to not really be an upgrade from it used to not really be an upgrade oh wait, I'm not supposed to be showing that. Okay, it used to not really be an upgrade from Javelin, but the thing is I kind of screwed. Okay, there we go. If you compare Javelin to Maelstrom, it's twice as much damage. So it's like buying two Javelins, but it's like twice as much. And then it also hits like, you know, it can bounce. But otherwise, it's like, it's just not very good. I don't know. If I saw it on Wind Ranger, I'd be like, okay, whatever. Like, yeah, she should buy it. But then I have a support Wind Ranger, and that's already bad enough. So, you know, it is what it is. Okay. I need to get that out of here. Okay. You guys can listen to me, but wait, can I hear you? It's good that I can't hear you because I don't want to. But okay, well, I'm gonna edit this part out. But anyways, yeah, I'm just going through it. Can I record both monitors? No, I am switching between DotA and this and the tier list. But anyways, next item. We are looking at Magic Stick. Magic Stick is There we go. Got the right window up. Magic Stick. It's always good. Hey, here, shut the hell up. Well, actually, wait. Let me think about what my recording. No, okay. Actually, you can technically you can talk, but it'll be confusing.
It's gotta be a must-have.
Yeah.
Going back to my
Okay.
gotta get my daily win.
Right. I'll probably just deafen myself because otherwise I'm gonna be confusing you guys or talking over you, whatever. All right. They'll have to see the video when it comes out. Okay, so wand or magic stick in this case, it's, you know, people sometimes treat it like it's situational, but honestly, it's like, you know what that situation is? The enemy team has spells, period. And you're gonna get like good use out of it pretty much every time. You don't need to just save it for Bristleback. You can get it faster against Bristle, but people like, you know, they realize, okay, Bristleback means, am I on the right window? No, I'm not in the right window. People like, you know, they're smart enough to realize Bristleback means I need a wand. And I need it, or a stick, you know, I need stick really fast. But what they don't realize, it's more than just Bristle. Bristleback is a stick hero. PA is a stick hero. Batrider, people realize Batrider is too. Zeus. Even supports, you know, support Skywrath. Get the stick. Support Lion. Get the stick. You know, it's like there's so many more heroes that are stick worthy than you would think. There was a pretty long time where I always started with a stick. Am I still doing that on Razor? I don't think so. Let me click a random game. Did I start with a stick? Oh, okay, yeah. So I do start with a stick most games on Razor. And it's just, you know, it's fine. I never regret it. It is a little bit of gold. You could buy more stats and more regen, but it's just like throughout the course of the game, it's gonna be worth like at least 3 salves, you know. And then same thing with the wand. I would say the wand is like, I mean, essentially, I never buy a stick without intent to upgrade to a wand, but you know, do you need to get the wand ASAP? No, I only really upgrade it when I, you know, run out of slots. So is it always good? I'm gonna just say good in most games. Like I don't know. It's weird. It's like you got to put it somewhere. But if I put stick in, if I put magic wand in always game, I don't want you buying the full wand like out of the fountain. You can start with the stick, or you can just get the stick early. But just take it easy on the wand. You know, give him some time to breathe, and you can get him later. All right, let me throw. Jeez, this is getting confusing now. Let me close that. No. Move that up. And now move all this up. There we go. I'm trying to cover these ads because they are very obtrusive. But that's fine. Manta style. Don't worry about it. Don't buy it. As a matter of fact, we gotta zoom out again. Just save it for your carries. If you the only reason you'd ever want a Manta on a support is for the Dispel. If you're spending 4,000 gold on a Dispel, I have news for you. Buy a Lotus Orb. Buy a Yule's. Well, Yule's is for the self-dispel, but if you want to dispel your teammates too, they have an Orchid. Don't buy a Manta for an Orchid. Buy the Lotus Orb. You're a support. You can use it on your teammates. Even my cores could probably learn a thing or two about Lotus Orb, but there's really no reason to get the Manta. Mantle of Intelligence. I guess situational. It builds into Null Talisman, if you're playing a nuker, I think Null Talisman is the only of the 3 stat items that's going to make it past bad. And so because this builds into this, you can consider, let's say you're playing Skywrath, Lion, Witch Doctor. So something that I think is slept on is that good int can sometimes outweigh just buying raw mana regen. A Null Talisman is an investment, but it's not an investment that's completely removed from manta or clarities and mangoes and stuff. So we're gonna call it situational. This we kind of talked about this earlier. When we were talking about Morbid Mask, just you don't really need that attack speed, and you definitely don't want to silence yourself. Only situation I can think of is like a support Spirit Breaker, but that's like a cheeky build. It might work like once or twice, but you're really just praying the Gaben in RNGesus that your bashes go through. Otherwise, there's really no reason for it. Medallion of Courage. Is that always good or is it good in most games? I'm going to say it's good in most games. Reason being is if your team doesn't have any right clickers or anyone that's like, most teams have one right clicker, but why does that make it always good? I don't know. It's a very strong item. It's almost always good. But you can skip it. Essentially, if I have 2 allies that are right-click focused, I'll definitely get it. Maybe later, maybe later on, maybe not, better late than never, but I'll get it at some point, especially if my team doesn't have one. But I shouldn't say it's always good because that means you're going to buy one every game. But a lot of times, your off lane might buy one, your other support might buy one, so you don't need one. It's fine. Mechanism. Do I just throw this up in A tier? I think I have to. Honestly, mech is slept on way too much. And here's the deal. Here's the deal with mechanism. Let's pull auto game. There we go. Look at that price point. You're paying 1,900 gold, and you're gonna heal your team for like up to 1,500 HP. That's literally, it's insane. And it has armor, which is a stat that's not not the worst stat in the world. It's pretty good. It has an AoE health regen. Like it builds out of Headdress, which is already always good. It's like, okay. Do I have to knock it down a level because maybe your teammate builds a mech? Maybe, I don't know. So the only condition where I would say don't buy a mech is if somebody else is going to buy a mech. Your other support, your Darkseer, your Underlord. Other than that, though, I think every team should have a mech, honestly. So wherever you think that should go, put it, if you think that puts it in B tier, put it in B tier. I don't care. All I know is I'm going to put in A tier, so that way you look at your team and you say, hey, we don't have a mech. We need a mech. It's just so good. Meteor Hammer. Ooh. Meteor Hammer's a guilty pleasure of mine, let me tell ya. It's pretty nice. But unfortunately, I'm going to call it situational. It's a little bit more of a core item anyways, but when you're playing support, I'm going to call it situational because it's good for closing games out. You can't get the tier 3s, so you buy the Meteor Hammer, and you're able to kind of siege the tier 3. This is dangerous though, so be careful. A little bit of extra cast range helps, but like if they have like a Pudge or even like someone that can they might just kill you, essentially. But you know what else it's good at? Securing outer towers, tier 1s, tier 2s. It's good for comboing if you have a really long stun. And now all that stuff is fine and dandy, But like if the price was too expensive or whatever, it would suck. But let's look at the price. Let's look at the build-up. And this is not one of those items where it could literally have the worst active ever. And I would still advocate for it based just on this build-up. I mean, look at this. You're buying a crown. You paid for the crown. You're buying a perseverance. You paid for the perseverance. And what do you get? You get a second free crown. Free. I mean, you're paying $250 for it, but in my mind, you're paying $250 for the active. And then you go from 4 all stats to 8 all stats. That's great. I mean, that's literally like 2,000 gold is not that much gold. And those are some very solid stats. The difference pre and post Meteor Hammer, like I mean, Perseverance gives you so much good regen, and then the Meteor Hammer just ties it together in a package that isn't just, a Perseverance. And it has a really good use. You can get fancy with it. I would say it might be like a higher skill item because you kind of have to know what your enemy's going to want to do to just blind Meteor Hammer people. But if you combo, it's fine. If you have an ally that can combo, it's fine. And then if neither of those cases are true, you can still hit towers. You can hit neutral camps for a little bit of extra money. It's kind of like, I'm definitely going to double down on Midas being bad. Because if you're ever going to buy a Midas, no, just buy the Meteor Hammer instead. It's literally, it gives you money, and it actually does something, as opposed to just giving you money and nothing else. Next item, Mithril Hammer. I'm going to rank that as carry item. You might buy it if you're going for BKB. You might buy it if you're going for Maelstrom or, whatever. But I'm going to hate you for it, so whatever. And then by extension, another carry item we're going to say is Mjolnir. I accidentally didn't have Gleipnir on this list. I would say Gleipnir is like maybe situational, but we don't have Gleipnir on this list, so the best part of Gleipnir is the Rod of Atos, whatever. We'll talk about Gleipnir when we get to Rod, even though it's not on the tier list, unfortunately. Monkey King Bar. We're gonna call it bad. We're not gonna call it a carry item. Actually, we're gonna call it a carry item. I hate to rag on Monkey King Bar. You could buy it on Wind Ranger. It'd be a good Wind Ranger item. It'd be a good Snapfire item, potentially. But you know what? It's not. It's not an item you buy on good heroes. So it doesn't matter. If I were to do a carry tier list, I can get more into it. But essentially, the damage is a little bit lower than it used to be. So now it's just like a counter item, if somebody has high evasion or even moderate evasion, you can buy it. But other than that, there's really no good reason for it when higher damage alternatives exist. Moonshard. I don't care how fast you can attack if you're playing like support Slardar or Spirit Breaker. Just don't do it. Just buy something better. It's 4,000 gold. Respect yourself. Mystic Staff. Builds into, I would say mostly carry items. Let me double check. Scythe of Vice, Wind Waker, Shiva's Guard, Arcane Blink. Yeah, we're gonna call it. So I'm all about magic casting. I love casting spells and make my hero better at casting spells. And those are decent items, but besides like a really situational Scythe of Vice, I'm not going to see that too often on supports. It's just a lot of money. It is very expensive. This item doesn't exist anymore, so whatever. It was pretty good. It would have been situational, but it's not even in the game anymore. So, and to be honest, part of the reason Gem is has such a high rank is because there's no alternatives to permanent. True Sight. The Necro book would be that alternative, but because that alternative's not there, the gem kind of gains a few points. Nullifier, a little bit too expensive. Leave it to your carries. You're losing out on. So there's going to be some games where Nullifier is a game-winning effect. They have too many Ghost Scepter type effects, and so on. But you're losing out on 80 damage by not really right-clicking people too much. So I mean, try to encourage your carry to buy it if it's a game-winning item, but you don't have to buy it yourself. We're just gonna call it a carry item. Null Talisman. Situational, the only stat item that isn't bad. I'm going to say it's situational because it's honestly, the stats it gives are pretty okay. They're not too terrible. Let me pull the game up. Bada boom. You're looking at Null Talisman, 5 int. Don't sleep on it because int by itself gives mana regen. That's something you have to remember. So it's 0.6 mana regen plus the mana regen you get from the int, which is around 1. It'll add up to about 1 mana regen. And then you get the 3% spell amp. It's not terribly a lot, but it in combination with your higher base mana, your higher mana regen, I could see it being picked up on Lion, Skywrath. Maybe not Lion. I don't know. Lion has other things to buy, but like Enigma, I would buy an Enigma sometimes. It's just, and whenever I buy it, I always feel like I'm giving up something. I always feel like it's not going to be as good, and then it feels great. Like I don't know. It's if you have other things to buy, Aura's healing, you can think about skipping it, and you probably should think about skipping it. But if you're a spam heavy hero, you're going to be spending a lot of money on clarities. Invest some money in the null, and that's probably terrible advice, honestly, when Mana Boot exists. But it's not the worst item ever. And it being able to it helps harass the enemy carry, and if that's something you're trying to do, then that is situationally good. So you can stick with it. Oblivion Staff. I don't think that builds anything you want to build. I think there's Orchid and Echo Saber and Silver Edge. Yeah, no, just leave it for your carries. If there's like a bristleback and you really want to build like a Silver Edge to break the bristle, it's not as good as it sounds usually. I don't know. It's hard to say, but it's just the things it builds into are pretty expensive. I will say it builds into Orchid, which I would usually consider pretty expensive, but I've seen Winter Wyverns support Wyverns buying Orchid. I don't know if it's a side effect of Wyvern being OP, but it's pretty good. It's a very strong item on Winter Wyvern, even when she's playing support. All right, let's hop over to Octarine Core. What do I do to Octarine? It's like my favorite item in the game. It is actually. I already mentioned how I like casting spells. And what's better than casting spells? Casting spells more often. So then Octarine Core. Well, who's complaining? It's got to be great. The problem is it's a little bit of a carry item. But at the same time, not really. And there's one big reason for that. Let's hop over to the other tab, and I'll tell you why it's not necessarily just a carry item. Look at that build up. Aether Lens. Already situationally good item. The situation being you're playing a hero that has a good stun. Soul Booster. It's just stats. It's just health and mana. And it's usually relatively cost-effective health and mana. Well, I don't know it's pretty good. Like, it's not a negligible upgrade. And so, the fact that you essentially take an Aether Lens, which you take out of your Mana Boots, and then you only have to add a Soul Booster to get the Octarine, that's pretty nice. And that's going to bump it up from being a carry exclusive item, I think, to a very late game situational upgrade to Aether Lens. I rush it sometimes, but that's when I'm playing core. I'll rush it on Puck, I'll rush it on other heroes I play. But those are like my mid and off lane plays. I'll get flamed for it too, but you know, that is what it is. Ogre Axe. Builds into Agnum Scepter, BKB, and other stuff. I'm going to say it's situationally good. It's if you're going for an Ags, it's pretty good. And then if you do go for an Ags, it's like the best first item to buy from it. Either the Ogre X or the Point Booster. You want to be getting that HP from those components, and so that's like a good start to your Ags is the Ogre X. Okay. Let's take a look at the next item, Orb of Venom. I have to... Man, I really don't want to put Orb of Venom anything above bad, but I kind of have to, because it is situationally good when you're trading... Okay, first things first, if you're a ranged hero, I never want to see hit with Orb of Venom. I don't care. I don't care if you're Venomancer techies, you have 1 base damage. No. No Orb of Venom's allowed on any ranged hero. It just does like literally nothing. The only reason you'd ever want an Orb of Venom is the slow. 13% slow on equipped melee hero. 4% slow? No, it's not justified. I'm sorry. With that being said, Orb of Venom itself, I really want to say it's bad, because you know what it does? You buy the Orb of Venom, and it feels okay, but what you're giving up is half of your starting money worth of stats, you know, healing, whatever. You're dedicating, like it transforms your starting build so much by slotting in an Orb of Venom that it's like the opportunity cost is like pretty painful. But on the matchups where it's good, where you can run around, harass the hell out of people, it's pretty good. But I don't know if those matchups are that common anymore. I'm going to be honest. I don't know. It's like who could buy an Orb of Venom and get away with it? Spirit Breaker, maybe? Abaddon? Slardar? Well, it's like a core Slardar. Yeah, I don't know. It's just Treant Protector. I'm going to call it bad. If you buy it anyways, I'm not going to like hunt you down, but I'm just going to call it bad and let you know that, hey, you know, you are giving something up by buying an Orb of Venom. Just get that in your head. Orchid. I know I said that's like, we're just going to throw in carry items. The biggest problem with Orchid is it's really easy to counter because essentially every defensive item in the game nullifies the Orchid, whether it's BKB, Lotus, Yules, you know, even like a Glimmer kind of stalls. It's like, so like every defensive item in the game nullifies the Orchid. It's not the most expensive investment. It is only 3,500 gold, but a lot of the counters to it are around the same price, and I think in general very good items. So we're just gonna call it a carry item. You probably shouldn't buy it. If you're playing Winter Wyvern, you can buy whatever you want probably, because she just, you know, does whatever she wants. It's up to you, but I'll just call it a carry item for now. Perseverance. Let me check the build ups. It might be more of a carry item, honestly. It builds into Meteor Hammer, which I said was situationally good. Refresher Orb. Lincoln's. And Lotus. I'll call it situational. Those are all really good items. Well, I mean, not all of them. Refresher and Lotus and Meteor Hammer are situationally good. And those situations do kind of vary per game, so it's kind of weird. Perseverance itself, it's a little bit more carry-ish. I don't know. Like, I could just do this if I wanted to, but it's just weird because when I'm putting these early game items in higher tiers, the implication is that the item by itself is worth it. And Perseverance is a lot of regen. It's insanely good regen. And does that make it worth it? To rush? On cores, maybe. Does that make it worth it to rush on supports? On supports, you're kind of looking to build it into Meteor Hammer, Lotus, and Refresher Orb, which are a little bit more late game, a little bit mid game, and a little bit more reactionary. So it's not like you're gonna enter the lane and just buy, I guess that's fine in situational for those reasons. Phase boots. The reason phase boots are down, maybe phase boots are arguably situational, but the problem is they're not mana boots. They're not mana boots. It's just there's no competition. Literally no competition. They're so good. The mana boot. It's the king of boots, the king of items, honestly. So like, why buy this? The reasons why would be for the move speed and for the armor. But and it is actually not bad for the armor and stuff. It's pretty good value. But I mean, we're talking about, this is the support tier list. This isn't the carry tier list. If this is the carry tier list, I would say it's situational or good in most games. But this is the support tier list. Just because I saw an Undying by phase boots once doesn't mean it's not terrible. So let's do that. Pipe. We kind of mentioned pipe earlier. If they have heavy magic damage, you can buy a pipe. If you start going for a pipe and your teammate starts freaking out because he's also going for a pipe, just buy 2 pipes. They say they don't stack, but the barrier is the only important. Well, it's like the most important part, and then it also kind of stacks because you just like don't activate at the same time, and like so you do like a barrier, you get 400 magic damage shield, and then you do another one a little bit later. It's fine. I will say an important part of pipe is if you are thinking about going for pipe, keep in mind that the base magic resistance of pipe, that 30% magic resist, let me pull up the other window, that 30% magic resist is pretty good on a semi-tanky hero. So if you're a little squisher like Witch Doctor and your team needs a pipe, just because your team needs a pipe doesn't mean you have to buy it. You would be better off buying a mech. It's cheaper. It gives roughly the same amount of HP, 275 versus 400. And, it's not the same amount, but it's comparable. It's better stats, better build up, has a little bit of armor, and you're not making as much use out of the health regen and magic resistance when you're playing a squishy hero, where that doesn't matter quite as much as mech because it's, like half the price almost. So I would say save the pipes for your tankier supports, save it for your offlaners, buy a mech instead. We're still gonna call the pipe situational, and that's mainly because we already called mech always good, so we don't have to like move it below mech. It's already below mech. Plate mail. So remember the chainmail? I said chainmail is pretty good. Even just a casual chainmail. You know what's better than casual chainmail? Casual plate mail. Well, not cost effective wise, but that 10 armor is really good. And that 10 armor builds into Lotus Orb, which is, again, really good. So I would say plate mail. It is leaning more towards offlane. My offlane bias is kind of swinging in here, but it is pretty good value for what it's worth. Point booster. We're going to call it situational. If you're building something good off point booster, go ahead and buy it. But don't Don't worry about it too much. I mean, essentially, if you're going for an Ags, it's the first or second thing you want to buy for the Ags. If you're going for a Octarine, at that point you probably hopefully have enough money to where it doesn't really matter. It is good stats, but you know, obviously you're not going out of your way to buy a point booster. Do I just call treads bad? They're just bad. Do I even call them a carry item? Is it even worthy of the item title of a carry item? They're pretty much outclassed by like every boot. Even if you're tread toggling and stuff, you know. And of course, this is the support tier list. I don't know if you really want treads on a support. You do get decent stats, but those stats usually have to be followed up with more stats. And if you're just building raw stats, you're essentially playing a core. That's not what we're talking about here. So I'm just gonna call them bad, especially because we're running out of layers. We're gonna have to scroll out again, as a matter of fact. Let's do that. This was a pretty fat scroll, so we actually get some room now, which is nice. I can scroll up even. Okay, perfect. Okay. Quarterstaff. Quarterstaff is... It builds into Oblivion Staff, Butterfly, and Mask of Madness. Give it to your carries. You don't want to build those things. Just give it to your carries. Quilling Blade. Average Dota 2 viewer. Radiant Sign Weaver. I already know where you're going to put Quilling Blade. That's obviously a carry item. So just go ahead and slot it in there now. Stop. Hold on. Wait a minute. Situational. Fuck trees. Just, I hate trees so much. I literally hate trees so much. And so the thing that the Quilling Blade does is it chops trees down. You can make paths through the jungle. It's better than you think. Do you start the game with a Quilling Blade on a support? No. Do you buy a Quilling Blade as the laning phase is kind of nearing its end, and now you're going to start roaming around, and you might want to sneak around in trees and place better wards? Quilling Blade helps with warding. You don't always need the help, and you also don't always want to spend money on a Quilling Blade. So that's why it's situational. But you can go watch... there's some video. It's probably by Jenkins. He talks about Quilling Blade and like the tricks you can do with warding and stuff. It's pretty nice. Especially if your carry doesn't have a Quilling Blade. And so... You know, it's not terrible. And it makes your wards better. I would probably only buy it on... No, actually, I don't even know. I mean, it used to be a must-have on melee supports because you would have to use the chop tree, like wards from the cliffs, but you don't do that anymore. But speaking of chopping wards from cliffs, there's the dire mid ward. Quilling Blade is huge there. It like to chop like the outer layer of trees. It's whatever. It's just don't. The most important takeaway here is that just because you're not using it for farming doesn't mean you should sleep on the tree cutting ability. The tree cutting ability is pretty good. Radiance. Let your carries buy it. Let your Wraith King, Specters, Weavers buy it. But you don't have to worry about it. Rapier. I mean, you know what? There is a strat. A strat does exist out there, just like the bottle strat, but we're not going to talk about that. Buy a Rapier, die to Roche. All I'm saying. It doesn't even work, actually. So, yeah, don't do it. All right. Reaver builds into Harder Tarrasque and Overwhelming Blink and Satanic. I'm going to say, as much as I love Overwhelming Blink, I'm going to say leave it to your carries. And, you know, I say Eagle Songs down here. This is a spiritual fill-in for Swift Blink. I put Mystic Staff down here. This is a spiritual fill-in for Arcane Blink because we don't have those listed in this tier list. Same thing with Reaver. It's a spiritual fill-in for Overwhelming Blink. It is really good. It's insane. You shouldn't really have the money for it if you're playing support. If you do, then, you know, congrats. But otherwise, encourage your carry to buy Overwhelming Blink, but you're not going to afford it yourself, so don't worry about it. Refresher Orb. I'd say it's situational. It's not bad. It's not exclusive to carries. It's essentially late game. You're playing Zeus. You're playing some other hero with a really strong ult, high cooldown ult. You can buy the refresher. It's a late game option. Not too much to talk about there. I'm sure you know the heroes that it's good on. Don't forget it exists. I actually, oftentimes I kind of forget refresher exists. It's kind of an insane item, but it is a full late game item. So, you know, it's whatever. Sacred Relic builds into Radiance, builds into Divine Rapier, builds into Nullifier. All of those are carry items, so naturally the Relic is going to be a carry item. It's just raw damage. You don't need raw damage. Here's a juicer. Ring of Basilius. This item is part of the Aura Triumvirate. You know, we have the Buckler, which is the same price as the Headdress, which is the same price as the Ring of Basilius, which I'm going to say is situational. So we'll have it tied with the Buckler. Not going to show any bias there, because some games you might need the armor. You probably don't, but you can. I'm not going to discourage people from buying armor. And then the casual mana regen on the Ring of Basilius, it's very cost effective. We were crunching numbers on boots at the start of the video. Ring of Basilius is also very cost effective, so it's something you'd want to consider. Especially if you're playing a spammy hero like Zeus. You know, me and Eeyore, we queue up off lane together. He's playing Zeus. I'm playing Razor. Both heroes can make really good use of mana. You can start the game with the Ring of Basilius. So if you're a spammy hero and you have a spammy carry that you're with, /core, /offlane, or whatever, definitely consider the casual Ring of Basilius. But now here's where I want to emphasize: just because you have a Ring of Basilius doesn't mean you have to upgrade it. It upgrades into Veil, upgrades into Vlad's. Vlad's situational, Veil just bad. Veil is so bad. I'm sorry, my Veil lovers, but it's just not worth it, honestly. It's just not. We'll get into that in a little bit. Ring of Health, I love it on carries. I'm gonna say it's situational, just like the Perseverance. You know, maybe I should just call it a carry item. Like why would you be tanking so much harass on a support? Yeah, I mean the ring rush on a support, it's not like it's whatever. It is a very good item, but I can't think of a support that would actually want to rush it. So we're just gonna throw it into carry items. Ring of Protection builds into Buckler, Urn of Shadows, and Soul Ring. It's very cost effective for the armor it gives, so we'll throw it in situational. And it builds into Urn, which is also situational. And then it builds in Soul Ring, which is kind of... Did we get to Soul Ring yet? No. I'm going to call the... We'll get to Soul Ring, but whatever. Ring of Regen. I'm going to say Ring of Regen is good in most games. It builds into Headdress, is a big strong suit. It's very cost-effective health regen. It's kind of like you can buy a fluffy hat and a Ring of Regen, and then you're like paid less and you have like a better bracer. It gives you 1.25 health regen, a little bit more health regen than a bracer. Actually, maybe the same because strength gives you health regen, but whatever. And then the fluffy hat gives you like even more health. It's like, and the cost of those two combined is only 350, 425. I'm sorry. Yeah, 425. It's already cheaper than bracer. So the point is, good health regen, builds in the headdress. You leave the fountain with a casual ring of regen. If you're trading harass, that regen's gonna go a long way, and it's not even expensive. You can start with 2 of them. But you shouldn't, because you can also start with a headdress, which is like 2 of them. Headdress is very good. Next item, the Ring of Tarask does not exist anymore. So we're just gonna throw that somewhere, whatever. It's actually a weirdly short-lived item, now that I think about it. It doesn't exist, right? Yeah. It kind of got replaced with the fluffy hat. Robe of the Magi. I'm gonna call that a look at those. It builds into some weird items, and you know what? All of them are carry items, and you know what? Not even a lot of them are good, but I don't see any of them that are definitely good on supports. So we're just gonna throw that down there and call it a day. Rod of Atos. Should I give bonus points to Rod? No. Okay, so I'm just gonna call it situational. But Rod of Atos, it's good. It's really good. It's pretty expensive. Like it's not too cheap, but it's also not like that expensive. It's like more of like a situational, like it's like a pretty good situational core item. If you're playing a combo hero, like a skill shot hero like Pudge or Morana, you can kind of combo the rod into your skill shots. Oof. But other than that, you know, the best part is it has really long reach. You can grab people from a mile away. And then I'm going to call it situational because it's probably not spam worthy, like buying it every game, but it is really good against certain heroes. I'm talking the Storm Spirit. I'm talking a Weaver. You know, I played my most played hero is Weaver. The most annoying thing ever is when you think it's a free game because they have no lockdown, then all of a sudden they have like 3 Rod of Atoses, and you just like keep getting rooted, and you're like, what is happening? So it's definitely you shouldn't sleep on it. You shouldn't forget it exists. It's a weird item. Some of these items, honestly, my only goal here is to remind you that it exists. Yes, Refresh Orb exists. Rod of Atos exists. What do you want? I mean, Mechanism exists. Holy Locket. You know, they're all pretty good items. But in this case, friendly reminder, Rod of Atos exists. It's usually pretty effective. It's especially effective against heroes that are highly mobile. You lock down their mobility, and they're fragile. So that 2-second duration will lead to another stun, will lead to another stun, will lead to death, you know. Those are the times it's good. Sanjin Yasha, very high win rate item. It surprised me how high the win rate was, but it is just raw stats, and it's kind of, you know, a carry item. Sange, same thing. Satanic, late game carry item. You don't need that lifesteal. I don't know why you would think you need that lifesteal, so we can pass it up. Shadow Amulet. It builds into Glimmer Cape, so it's you know, it's situational in that it builds into Glimmer. If you're gonna build a Glimmer, go ahead and build the Shadow Amulet. You can do some tricks, some like, you know, schoolyard tricks with it, because it's like can make you invis forever, but you know, don't overdo it. It's, you know, it is what it is. Scythe of Vice. It's kind of a carry item, but I'll just put it in situational, remind you that yes, again, it does exist. That category is getting a little bit flooded, I guess. But I mean, it's very expensive, like very, very expensive. But like Atos, there's some carries that think they're king of the world. They can do anything. Puck, Weaver, you know, they think they can do anything. Then all of a sudden, they get turned into a chicken. And And they're like, what the hell happened? Like, they didn't have, like, who has a scythe? And they start clicking all the enemy heroes frantically, trying to figure out why they died. I might be projecting. There's a good chance I'm projecting. But anyways, I'm clicking around. How did I die? Oh, the support Lena has a Scythe of Ice. Like, you can catch people off guard with it. So I'm not going to call it just a carry item. I am going to call it a situational item. The situation is, you're kind of at like this gridlock, and they have like a highly mobile carry that like you just can't kill, and you have time to get the money. Then invest in the Scythe, and you can like kind of turn the game around. Next item, Shivas. I would say let your offlaner buy it for the most part. It's not a terrible item, but it's one of those things again where are you going to make good use of the armor? It's essentially an active and a bunch of armor. The active is pretty good. The passive, which I forgot to mention, is pretty good. But unless you're a tanky boy, you're not going to make use of them. And so you probably need to be a carry to make good, like a offlaner to make good use of it. And we're not talking about that right now. So we're going to call that a carry item for now. Let's move on to the next one. Silver Edge. We're going to call that... Should I call it bad or carry? I'm going to call it bad. I'm going to call it bad so you remember it's bad. Because here's the deal. There's going to be a game where you establish there's a bristleback. I need to counter the bristleback. I'm going to buy the Silver Edge. I know I'm a support, but I know deep down inside, all I need is to get the Silver Edge to kill this bristle, and then we can, I'll be the hero of the team. And then you buy the Silver Edge. And you've just spent 5,500 gold on a Silver Edge. And then you break the bristle. Everything's going according to plan. But then all of a sudden, he doesn't die. And then all of a sudden, the enemy team kills you. You just spent 6,000 gold, 5,500 gold. How much is it actually? The recipe keeps changing. 5,600 gold. You spent 5,600 gold on an item to counter a hero when the enemy team has 5 heroes. And this Silver Edge does nothing to the rest of the enemy team. And that's kind of the problem. There's a lot of situational items that are good at countering certain heroes. But here's the deal. Rod of Atos can root anyone. It's just good against high mobility targets. Chicken Stick, Scythe of Ice, can turn anyone into a chicken. It's just good against high mobility targets. Lotus Orb can dispel anyone. Whatever, that's a weird one. I can't really get too into that. Again, Yules. Yules can be used aggressively or defensively or however you need to use it. It can cancel TPs. But you know what Silver Edge does? It only counters the bristle. It's not worth it. When that enemy shows up and he's not the bristleback, it doesn't help. So it's just like, it's not going to save the game. I've tried it. I've seen people try it. It always kind of, it just doesn't work out. If you're playing against a bristleback and he's the king of he's the main focus of the game, it's easy to think, okay, just counter the bristle, we win. But honestly, address the rest of the team, and the bristle kind of it's a weird strategy. I've had games where there's an anti-mage on the enemy team. You don't just address the anti-mage. Sometimes you can ignore him and just apply so much pressure that he can't do anything. And it's the same thing with Bristle. Do so good against the Bristle's team that the Bristleback existing doesn't even help them anymore. Same thing with Scotty and I have Scotty and Shivas are both really good for lowering health regen, which is actually good against Bristle because it's good against other heroes too. These items are honestly better than Silver Edge, but they're just too expensive to make use of on a support. You should let your carries buy it. It's whatever. And the reason it's not just the tankiness that keeps them going, it's also their health regen, So lowering their health regen is a good counter, but removing their passive, it's too niche, it's too specific, it doesn't work. Slippers of Agility. I don't think it builds in anything good. Literally just Wraithband. That's kind of weird. The other one's built into... Oh, no. I guess Glove of Gauntlets of Strength is the only exception. Yeah, no, it's... You don't need Wraithbands on a support. You don't have to worry about it. Wraithband is notable that you shouldn't only buy Wraithband on agility heroes. It is actually pretty good on like some strength heroes and stuff, but I can't think of a support that wants to just harass with a Wraithband. You can farm with a Wraithband. You don't want to harass. Smoke of Deceit. We have our very first S tier item. It's so S tier that Ice Frog only allows you to buy like 2 per minute, but there's a reason. It's good. It's insanely good. It's actually like if you're playing the game without buying Smoke of Deceit, you're kind of like not playing the game. It's like a literal like it's like a part of the game, you know. Boards are a part of the game. Tangos are a part of the game. Boots, you know. Every hero's gonna have boots. Every team should have some smokes. It sets up ganks, but more importantly, it lets you, well, your team loves the ganks, but your support, you know what you love about it? You pop the smoke with your team, and then you go D-ward. And you can place wards without being under vision, and you can do some dangerous things without getting punished. If wards are the best item in the game, and smoke is the counter of the wards, then you know it's just really good. The only thing I have to say is don't smoke just because you can. I don't know, like it's just like if you have a goal in mind, go ahead, pop the smoke. It's probably a good idea. Maybe your goal is I need to D-ward that triangle, but you know, I'm afraid I'll die if I go up there. Or I've already died like twice going up there. Then you can say, okay guys, we need smoke into the triangle or something. And maybe that's a terrible idea. But all I know is have a goal in mind and then pop the smoke. Don't just smoke because you know you're in the same area as your team and you're bored and you want to do something. Sage's Mask. Let me check out Sage's Mask, see what it builds into. We're going to say it's good in most games. It's already a really good mana regen item, like for the price. And then it builds into Ring of Basilius, which is very good. It builds into Urn of Shadows. We haven't talked about Urn yet. I kind of hate Urn, but Urn is inarguably cost effective. And then the Medallion of Courage, which is good in most games again. So we're going to say the Sage's Mask is... You buy a Sage's Mask. If your starting build always had a Sage Mask on it on like a spell spammer, you know, it might not always be the most effective, but you're not going to be losing games because of it. So let's move on to the Solar Crest. I'm going to say the Solar Crest is... Do I just make it tied with Medallion? I mean, that might be fair enough. How expensive is it again? Um, 2,500 gold. Honestly, I'm going to say it's situational, which is a little bit controversial maybe considering I put Medallion in B tier. But here's the deal. C tier because Medallion is pretty cheap, so even if you buy it... I put it in B tier because even if you buy Medallion at the wrong time, it's only a 1,000 gold investment, so who cares? But Solar Crest, if your team doesn't have like 2 right clickers, which it probably does, so the situation's pretty common, but if you're not getting good payoff from that Solar Crest, that's a little bit more of an investment. It's only a minor upgrade from Medallion. Medallion is actually so good. And then like you're getting you're essentially you get the luxury of combining some items and then a slightly better active. And the active being slightly better, the move speed helps. It lowers enemy move speed, increases allied move speed. It's really strong, but You shouldn't be spamming Solar Crest and forgetting about items like Mech, I think, or Holy Locket, or if your hero needs an Aether Lens, I don't know. It's another one of those items where like kind of like Greaves, where it's situationally good, and that situation is you don't need anything else right now, so it's like whatever. Soul Booster. Where do I put this even? It's essentially the only time you'd ever buy a Soul Booster is if you're buying an Octarine Core, and like you'll never even have the Soul Booster really, because you kind of like you acquire the Soul Booster and then you instantly form the Octarine Core. So like when do you even have this item? I'm just gonna rank it as situational because I just want to emphasize the stats you gain are not terrible. It's a lot of good health, a lot of good mana. Every time you like you might be squishy and maybe you're thinking about, oh, I need to buy this or this to save myself. Sometimes just getting that raw health from the vitality booster and the point booster is actually pretty good, especially when it's building towards a substantially strong goal, which is the Octarine Core. Is that goal something you might be building as support all the time? Not really. Will you get flamed? Probably, but you know, whatever. We're just gonna not put it in bad or carry items because I do want to emphasize it gives good health. Don't forget it. Speaking of bad, Soul Ring. I already talked about Soul Ring earlier. Why would I want to buy an item that converts health into mana, and then I would have to in turn buy an item that gives me health regen? So I'm buying health regen to fuel the Soul Ring. I'm using the Soul Ring to fuel my spells when I can just buy mana boots or mana items in general the whole time. I don't know. I don't quite get it. People do it on certain heroes. It's, you know, I'm sure it's like not terrible, but I don't like it. And I'm gonna call it bad because I've never bought it. And I've bought it before. I've never liked it. I bought it on IO, and you can use it to fuel your carry on IO. They give a bunch of free mana, but other than that, it's, you know, whatever. Lincoln Sphere, we'll call that a carry item. It's like I would say in most cases Lotus is a little bit better than Lincoln's. You know, obviously blocking the spell might be better than reflecting the spell, like, especially against like duel and stuff. But you know, ideally you're positioned in such a way that if you get dueled, you don't lose the game. You know, you're playing a support essentially. If you get dueled, and it will happen, and then the Legion dies because of it, that's a win. Remember, that's a net win. But if you get dueled and then you just die for no reason, that doesn't mean you need to buy Lincoln's. That might just mean you're somewhere where you're not supposed to be. Spirit Vessel. Boo! Boo! I can't put it above anything except for bad. I'm sorry. I would like to apologize to all my fans for this disgrace that I've brought upon everyone. It's just, it used to be the only option. You used to be playing against a super tanky hero who had like infinite life regen like a Huskar, and it was your only choice. It's so Spirit Vessel or nothing. Well, now your team, emphasis on the team, gets multiple choices. They get Shivas, IF Skadi. They'll probably buy a damn vessel anyways, even if you don't. It's like there's multiple options to lower a health regen based hero. In Spirit Vessel, it's a lot of money. It's 3,000 gold. You don't really get any bonus stats from buying it. You're spending 1,000 gold on the recipe, and the only reason to ever buy that recipe is as a counter to heroes like Bristleback, Timbersaw, Huskar, Morphling. And it's not even like, I just think being a better team is the better counter. Don't spend 3,000 gold on an item that directly counters. Just be better. Well, I'm not saying play better. I'm saying the opportunity cost of spending 3,000 gold is pulling you away from buying other items that will let you perform better overall, and that will be bad in the long run. And now here's the last thing about the Spirit Vessel, and this is why I'm saying it's bad, and it's essentially the active is dispellable, and that's a pretty big problem considering these heroes, like every hero I just listed, already kind of is worried about things to dispel. Like Morphling is worried about silence, so they're going to buy a Manta a lot of times. Alchemist, I didn't mention Elk, but this item is allegedly good against Elk. But he has multiple options to dispel himself, activating his ult, using his Berserker Potion. They never do, but this is all theoretical. I haven't seen an Elk in ages anyways. They have multiple dispel options, including, again, Manta style. Morphing can buy Yules. Bristleback can buy Yules if he really wants to. It's a bit uncommon nowadays. It used to be a little bit more common, I swear. It's just, they're going to want to buy defensive items probably. Every defensive item dispels the Spirit Vessel. If you do perfect timing, maybe it's good. Do keep that in mind. But then, like, I don't know. I feel Bristleback, Timbersaw, other two heroes I mentioned, they're like natural Lotus Orb buyers. So you buy the Spirit Vessel, you spend all your hard-earned support gold on the Spirit Vessel, and then they just buy a Lotus Orb, which they're probably going to buy anyways, and now they get cursed with the Spirit Vessel. They just put the Ion Shell on, the Echo Shell on, and it just removes the Spirit Vessel. It's just, the win rate is pretty high if you look at it on Dota Buff, so I'm probably preaching lies or something, but, and I have to mention that to be fair, but I don't know. It's just, I don't think it's it, Chief. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Moving on, we got the Staff of Wizardry. Builds into Yules, Force Staff, Ags, Atos, and then also Kaya Dagon. Builds into a lot of good things, so we'll throw it into situational along with the Ogre Axe. It is kind of the last component you want for a lot of the things, so should I call it bad? I don't know, but it has a lot of good things it builds into. Talisman of Evasion, we're going to call that a carry item because it builds into Butterfly and Halberd. I already talked about a Halberd, hopefully, so just leave it for your carries, you know. And now let's move on to a real juicer here, the Tango. It's a must-have. What are you going to do? Start the game without Tango? Are you joking me? Now, you might be thinking, Steven, I looked at your replays. You don't start the game with Tango. Okay, well, don't worry about that. Anyways, the point is, it's just a very, it's basically ingrained into the game. If you skip Tangos in your item build, your starting build, they are a pretty awkward cost, 90 gold. Not the worst cost ever, but, there might be a temptation there to not buy Tangos right away and then kind of ferry them out with your courier after the bounty runes. And that's perfectly fine. The point is, you're going to start most games with Tangos, maybe even buy 2 stacks. You can still share them with your carry when he needs them. It's just a fine item. It's very cost effective. I think it is more healing total than the salve, just over a longer period of time. 7 times 16, 70. And then 7 times 6 is 42. So 100, 102, 112. Maybe it's a little bit less than salve. A little bit less than salve, but it's also costs a little bit less. So, and it's over in smaller chunks. You get the 3 Tango charges. It lets you eat trees, which can form early game paths, especially if you're in Radiant safe lane. That's pretty important. I don't think I've ever seen anyone complain about Tangos. They're fine. You can't share them with your mid, which means you actually get to keep your own tangos. That's pretty nice, right? And it's fine. Tome of Knowledge? Yeah, Tome of Knowledge. Knowledge. I know what you're thinking. Oh, 2 must-haves in a row? And always good? It's always good to have a nice tome? I had to do it to him. You know I had to do it to him. And here's the deal with Tome of Knowledge. I'm putting it in B tier. Not because it's not strong. It's insanely strong. But because you need to share with your team. I'll move that over there. You should be sharing the tome with your team. A lot of supports might have it ingrained in their head or whatever. I'm playing support. I'm position 5, position 4. I'm going to buy the tome and eat it. But honestly, just the same way you think about, you should be thinking about what to buy every single game. You should be, if you're watching this video, you probably are trying to help decide what to buy each game. And you should take each game in as a unique case. And so just because you were playing Witch Doctor and you were level 4 and it was a perfect home for you that game, doesn't mean when you're level 5.5, you're still playing Witch Doctor, but now your other support is level 4, you shouldn't buy a tome. And there's even cases where you need to ask yourself, what am I gaining from this tome? I play a lot of Omni Knight. Omni Knight has his ult at level 6, and you don't even level at level 6. It's not even useful all the time. It's a very situationally useful ult. You level it when you need it, and you don't need it at level 6. So when I'm level 5 and my other support's level 6, they're thinking, hey, Omni Knight, buy the tome. And I tell them I don't want the tome. I'm not going to buy it. Somebody take the tome. I know I'm level 5. I know I'm the lowest level in the game, but the upgrade it gives me is smaller than the upgrade it gives you. If you see your support needs it more than you, give it to the other support. If neither support needs it, just offer it to the carries. One of them's greedy enough. Does it help them that much? Maybe not, but maybe it does. I don't know. All I know is it wasn't going to help me. So think before you tome. And and if somebody steals it from you, don't be that upset. It's fine. If they thought they needed it, then maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. If you think you need it, let's say I think Earth Spirit is a really big bookworm, because he gets stronger and stronger until around like level 11. Then he kind of stops needing it. But you're roaming around a lot, and then you're kind of a low level because you're a support. And so you kind of need that tome to start reaching level 11. But Omni Knight, he doesn't need to reach level 11. He needs to reach, every level is a minor upgrade, but it doesn't really matter. And so when I'm playing Earth Spirit, I'll have tome on quick buy. I'll be spam clicking it. I'll spam click it when it's 10-minute mark. And if I somehow lose it, I probably would be a little bit upset. But when you're playing like Lion, some random support, and you just it's like 10 minutes and 30 seconds and you forgot about the tome, you go look at the shop, somebody else already bought it. Don't be mad. If they bought it, they probably thought they needed it. And even if they didn't need it, it's some moral support, whatever. You'll live without it. You only get one for your team. And honestly, tome is so OP that if we're rating items by like raw strength, it'd be in like S tier. Tome, I don't even know how Tome's in the game still. It's so OP, but your team only gets one. You don't always have to buy it. Let your team buy it sometimes. TP scroll, that's a must-have. I mean, is there any explanation? You should always have a TP scroll. Well, here's an explanation. And this is important. You're playing a support. This is general support advice. You just died. It's gonna happen. You're a support. It's gonna happen. You do something risky, you die, and now you have a choice. Do you TP back the lane or walk back? And you should ask yourself, is there any immediate reason for me to be in lane? Maybe you need to heal your carry. Maybe you need to resume harassing the enemy. Maybe there's a pull you need to interrupt. Maybe you need a pull for your own carry. But if none of the above are true, you should walk to lane. If you're just gonna TP to lane and then soak XP, or TP to lane and then specifically avoid soaking XP, that's not as good as walking to lane and then having that TP scroll ready for in case something happens in another lane and you can go help them. Because that's like it's so annoying when you know the enemy team dives you and you're like, why did no one TP? And then the support's like, oh well, my TP's on cooldown. It's like, well, does it need to be? It's 2 minutes in. Where were you going? It's if there's no immediate impact to the decision you're making, then you probably should be doing something else. That's general advice. But then also, you don't need to be doing that thing faster. It's like driving 20 miles per hour over the speed limit just to get to the red light faster. Just walk out to the lane. You don't need a TP. It'll be fine. Tranquil Boots. Tranquil Boots are the main competitor for Mana Boots. They're extremely cheap. They are technically the fastest boots, sort of. I don't buy them ever because I hate Tranquil Boots, like on a moral level. I have a hard time ranking them. I'm not gonna say they're bad. They're definitely better than phases and treads on supports. Am I gonna say they're situational? No, I guess I have to say they're good in most games. The health regen is actually pretty OP. I hate them on a moral level because they're so strong. So, it's kind of like a tome. Like, I don't even know how the tome's still in the game. I don't know how these Tranquil Boots are so cheap. They're pretty cost effective. The main deterrent from buying them is that I'm strongly encouraging buying Mana Boots. And you want one or the other. If you do bite if you do join the train and join the Arcane Boot gang, it's fine to skip the Tranquils. But if you're so used to buying Tranquils, you can't live without them, then I don't know what to say. Just go ahead. I will say that them becoming inactive, if you think you're going to be trading a lot of hits, they're probably not too important. Because 13 seconds before you get any regen, and then you got to spend like 10 or 20 more seconds to benefit from that regen. That's a long time investment. If you're going to be doing a lot of stacks, a lot of pulling, well, not a lot of stacks, a lot of pulling, a lot of contesting those pulls, then you might not, you might not get the benefit from the Tranquil Boots. And that's where like the Mana Boots, where you can get that burst benefit, If your hero needs them, they need them. Otherwise, the Mana Boots are pretty good. And I would even like Mana Boots on heroes that you think you can skip them, like Lion. You might think, oh, well, Lion sucks mana, so he doesn't need Mana Boots. He doesn't suck that much mana. And he builds Aether Lens. Is very effective on him. So there's multiple reasons. Boots of Travel. Do I just call it a carry item? Like, I don't know. It's situational. Like, it's like kind of like the late game, the late game situation where the game's kind of ending, and you can sell your boots or disassemble your boots and buy travels to do things. I do really love travels on cores. They're just a little bit too expensive for supports. The benefit of being able to join any fight is huge for carries because you can farm and then like do whatever. The benefit of being very, very fast is cool. But, so you can't always get what you want. You don't necessarily get the full travels. They're just too expensive. You got to buy like some lower move speed items just to not waste all your money. Ultimate Orb. I'm going to call that carry item. It is decent stats. It's decently priced. But the build up is only into... The only exception to the core items was it builds into Scythe of Vice. But other than that, it's pretty much like a carry item. It's whatever. Aghanim Scepter. Situational. I mean, I can't say it's good in most games because I don't know what hero you're playing. So I don't know if your eggs is good. But it is situational. You should always consider that situation might come up. And it might be pretty good. Most eggs are like kind of like hero changing ish, change the play style. So if that's a playstyle you need to win, go for it. I would actually say on most support heroes, it's a bad idea because I think Ags on like most core heroes are underrated, but Ags on most support heroes are like overrated. If you're a Shadow Shaman, you have an Ags, get out of my sight. If you're a Lion, you have an Ags, get out of my sight. You know, it's like super cool and flashy on Lion. It's not even cool on. I don't even know why Shadow Shamans buy it. I think they just don't know what to buy, which is what this video is about. Because it's like not even good. Like hardly even upgrades the wards. I don't know if it feels good, but Lion at Lion it would feel nice. You know, you hit a bunch of people with your ult, but you shouldn't skip other support items just to get the Ags. I don't want to see Lion rushing Ags. If you have like Aether Lens, Blink Ags, that's almost like a core Lion, but it's still better than just like literal like brown boots Ags components, which I see way too often. So yeah, just consider it. Don't overdo it. If your game calls for an Ags, hopefully you can recognize, you know, whatever hero you're playing, consider it as an option. Know thy enemy. Know when it's gonna help. On most supports, it's very situational though. Urn of Shadows. I'm gonna rank above Spirit Vessel, so I'll call it situational. It is, and the major reason is it's way less of an investment. You're not spending 4,000 gold. You're spending 800 gold. And you're using it mostly to heal your teammates. So it's like a healing item, you know? You're not using it to try to curse the enemy team. You heal your team. Its stat build-up is pretty nice. It builds out of, you know, it provides some mana regen, some armor, some stats, and then some like health regen effectively. Some burst health regen. Obviously, if anyone else on your team has one, don't go for it. And I never buy it because I think it sucks. But it's a small investment, so I can't can't say it's that bad. Vanguard's going to be a carry item. Carries are going crazy for Vanguard. Well, off lanes are going crazy for Vanguard. But, you know, it's kind of slowing down off laners a little bit. But that's a different video. It's like, I can't say it's a bad item. But, you know, whatever. What I could say is a bad item is Veil of Discord. My God. Please don't do it. I know it sounds good. I'm sure pros are building it or something. I don't understand why you'd want to build it. 1,500. It's not like that expensive, so it's not the worst thing in the world. But it gives you literally no stats better than, okay. You gain 0.25 mana regen off of the Ring of Basilius. But then you're spending like 1,000 gold. I feel like the problem with Veil is it's like good in cases where like you have the setup and then you can like benefit from it. But I don't know. Like it's just... Like it says they take 18% increased magic damage, which is okay. But like, are you going to really cast it at the prime time every time? Are you going to be there at the start of the fight? Are you going to hit everyone? And so now 18% all of a sudden becomes like less than 18%. Let's say 10%. And then like, now we're comparing it to like a neutral item. We're comparing it to like Ceremonial Robe, which also would make him take 10% more damage. So it's like... I don't know. I wonder what the win... I have to look up the win rate because maybe it's like better than I give it credit for, but here's what you don't want to do. Don't buy the early game Ring of Basilius and then you say, well, I had two choices. I had Vladimir's Offering and, you know, Veil of Discord. So I chose the Veil of Discord. There's a third choice. Neither. Just don't upgrade your Ring of Basilius. The Ring of Basilius was already a worthwhile purchase. You've made good use of it out of lane. You don't necessarily need to sell it, but you don't need to upgrade it either. So yeah, that's the emphasis here. Maybe there's a hero it's good on. I haven't found that hero. I mean Phoenix. I see Earth Spirit by it sometimes. I think. I don't remember. It's if your team has a lot of magic damage, then theoretically it might be okay, but then once you go too far into magic damage, they're gonna buy a pipe and counter it pretty hard. Notably increases spell damage, so it would actually increase quills and bristleback. So if you have physical spells, that honestly might be the time to consider it. I don't know though. Next item is Vitality Booster. I'm going to call that a carry item. I don't know. I mean, like, do I call it situational? Builds into Aeon Disc, Spirit Vessel, Soul Booster. And so some of the items that we're building build out of Vitality Booster, but a lot of the best payoffs for Vitality Booster are offlane items, like the Vanguard. So I'm just going to call it a carry item and not worry about it too much. And look at this. We're at the last row. I'm going to just pre-filter these three. These are going to be the last three carry items. We have Wraithband, Sanjin Kaya, Yasha Kaya, and then just Yasha. And that leaves us with just like the, honestly, alphabetical might have ruined this video. I'm about to redo this video and not do it alphabetical because some of these are the most important items, and if you're 3 hours into this video already, then congratulations, because you're about to find out the most important things about DotA with these items. Vladimir's Offering. Situational. Essentially, Vlad's is a weird item because it's stronger the stronger your team is. So if you rush a Vlad's, it's not terrible, but everything's percentage based. Percentage lifesteal, percentage bonus damage. You could argue that armor is like a percentage reduction in damage, whatever. And so those benefits would last until the late game. So instead of buying it early and then like, you know, sacrificing other stuff, a lot of times what I'll do is I won't even think about it. And then I'll reach that mid game and I'm asking myself, what should I buy? And then I see I have a troll. I see I have like a PA or a Terrorblade or some like hero that just loves right clicking people, a Morphling. And you think, I bet they would love some mana, some lifesteal, some casual lifesteal and bonus damage and armor. And so you can just buy the Vlads. You can just buy it later on. It's a pretty good situational late game item. It's pretty cheap. And so you just like kind of like finish your big core item and then you can like think about Vlads. I would say if you have one of those heroes that essentially would buy lifesteal for themselves if they could, but like, and maybe they already did, and so you can either stack the lifesteal or give it to them for them. You're gonna see me buying that on occasion, but not without at least like 2 carries that benefit from it. Voidstone. Voidstone's pretty good. People I think don't give Voidzone enough credit. I'm gonna say it's. Did I say it's situational? I think I have to, considering the things it builds into are situational. But this is my tier list, so deal with it. We're just gonna put it in good in most games. And here's the biggest reason why. It's not bad. It's not bad. What can I say? I don't know. I mean, what am I supposed to say? Well, I'll tell you what I'm supposed to say. People consider it a component of certain items, and they don't think of it as kind of its own item because, you know, it's just a part of Aether Lens. It's just a part of Yule's. And it's just a part of anything that builds out of Perseverance. But the raw mana regen is comparable to Mana Boots, and Mana Boots is already insane. Like 2.25 mana regen, that's really good. Mana Boots is like 2.9, and it's like 1,500 gold, 1,400 gold. Well, it's exactly 1,400. Oh, it's 1,300. My God, Mana Boots are so good. But so it's not as much mana regen. So the price per mana is not as good, but when it builds into Aether Lens, which you want to buy, and it builds into Yule's, that's a significant milestone, you know. Like if I'm building Yules, my order of ingredients is going to be Windlace, Voidstone, and then the rest, you know. And that Voidstone is going to be pretty good. So I'm going to just like put up in good in most games. Not because you need to buy it in most games, just because it builds into a lot of good options. And you shouldn't like just like not count it as anything. Voodoo Mask. We're just going to call that bad. Partially because I don't want to make an extra row for it in the carry item section, because that would be very sad. That I would have to make one extra row for one item. And also partly because maybe you thought about it. Maybe you're like, I'm going to buy it on a support. It's not a lot of spell lifesteal. 10%, that's not enough to like warrant buying it. You're already squishy enough as support that you shouldn't really be taking that much damage. You should be, if you're dying a lot and you think I need some spell lifesteal to stay alive, one, you probably never thought that, and two, just position yourself better is more important. And then here we go, last 3 items. We have Observer Wards, Sentry Wards, and Windlace. Okay. Observer Wards. S tier? They're always good. They're not S tier. Well, they are, kind of. But I'm doing this for a very specific reason. Observer Wards are always good. But you know what else they are? They're free. So who cares how good they are? They're literally free. You can buy them. Your teammates can buy them. If you don't buy them, you might get flamed. But at some point, your team's probably going to buy them. If you ever see 4 in stock, please buy them. You know, okay, let's not get, or even 3. When I'm playing support, essentially, I buy, every time I check the shop, and I check, frequently enough, I'll buy half the Observer Wards. So if there's, or I'll buy like all but one. I play a lot of hard support, so I buy all but one Observer Ward because I want my team to still have the option to buy that last ward. Like what's super annoying is when I'm playing offlane, and when I'm playing offlane core, I'm not afraid to buy wards. You know, I'm not gonna like flame my team, tell them to put up wards. I'll buy the ward myself and I'll put it down. It's not that big of a deal. But then like when there's no wards in shop and we have like 3 wards in the bottom of the map, and I'm Radiant, and then there's none in stock, and there's like 2 on the courier, 1 in the hard support, and like he's just like hoarding all the wards. It's so annoying. So I never buy all the wards, and that's a big reason why I'm not putting it in S tier, because if I put an S tier, I don't want you to think buy them, just buy them. We yes, buy them, yes, place them, but you know what's more important than telling you to buy a free item is this: Sentry Wards in S tier. And this is important because I don't play a lot of support, but I played a lot recently. Like historically in my timeline of Dota, I haven't played support a lot, but just in the last few weeks, I've been playing only support. And here's the deal. If you're ever going to buy Sentry Wards, and you think, I'm going to buy one Observer, 2 Sentries, that sounds fair, or even 1 and 1. Literally, just every time you want to buy Sentries, buy twice as many as you think you need. If you think you need 2 Sentries, just buy 4. If you think you need 4 Sentries, then congratulations, you're on the right train of thought. You probably can't buy 8. But the point is, you should never, and this is like, I mean, okay, never say never, but still, you should always bring sentries when you're warding. The last thing you want to do is to just run up their triangle, throw down a sentry, throw down observer, and then walk away and think you did something good for your team, and then meanwhile, the enemy team just watched you do all of that under their own observer ward, and then they just put a sentry up, or they already had a sentry up, and they just get rid of your observer, and now you just fed the enemy team gold, you lost vision. Like, no, I'm going to make a general support guide, but the big emphasis is in like, you know, in as few words as possible, always pre-sentry when you're putting up observers. And you know, observers used to cost 100 gold. No, sorry. Sentries used to cost 100 gold, and now they cost 50. I'm sure support players around the world were like, thank you, Gaben. Now I get more money. I get to save 50 gold. Wrong. You get to buy twice as many sentries. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. You got to buy twice as many now. You don't get to save money. You just get more sentries. You're going to love them. Just buy them, place them. If the enemy team has been somewhere, if their whole team has breached your triangle at any point, get those sentries, clear the thing out. If they've breached your normal jungle, get those sentries, clear them out. If they've been sitting in their triangle, get those sentries, clear it out. Clear out vision. It's how you win. Having vision is nice. Removing vision, even better. If you remove that vision, their carries are going to be flaming their supports because the map's too dark. Another S tier item, Windlace. Last item in the analysis. It's so cost effective. 250 gold for 20 move speed is insanely cost effective. Technically, on the same price point as boots. No, a little bit less price point on boots. Whatever, price per gold for boots. But anyways, there's two reasons to go in S tier. One, I don't want to make a new row in A tier. Maybe I should though. Okay, I was planning on putting it in A tier to be honest, but okay, whatever. We'll throw it in A tier. It's always good. It's a slot filler item essentially. This is probably something I should have mentioned less than 3.5 hours into the video, but you want to fill your slots to a certain amount. You know, I'm building like 1 or 2 main items, and then if I have 4 empty slots, it doesn't look so good. Maybe I fill those with wards, maybe I fill those with dust, but those are like temporary items. And then you can just, it's not very expensive, just throw in a Windlace. It's just that casual move speed. It'll keep you safe, trust me. I am emphasizing positioning. It's true. If you're dying on support, you don't need to buy necessarily items to save yourself. A lot of times, you just got to be somewhere better. And Windlace helps you get there faster. It's very cheap. There's many times I'm thinking about which talent should I pick here. I can either get 20 move speed from this talent or 10 strength. And I think, well, 20 move speed is the same price as a Windlace, so that's worth 250 gold. And then 10 strength is the same price as, you know, that's 200 health. That's a lot of health. So it's like, it's the price of like, you know, two fluffy hats almost. It's the point is, I asked myself that question in my head, and then I realized, wait a second. Whether I pick the move speed talent or not, I should just dedicate 250 gold to a casual Windlace. Like it's there's nothing wrong with it. And so that's gonna be where I put the Windlace. I think A tier. Even though it's really good, it's not a must-have though. You don't like. You shouldn't like look at someone and see they, you know, don't have a Windlace and be like, what are they doing? You know, it's just a nice little value item. You're never going to regret it. You don't need to build anything. It's called a casual Windlace for a reason. It's casual because it's just going to sit there and stay there. You don't need to build anything out of it. You don't need to build Tranquil Boots or a Yule's or a Solar Crest just because you have one. Just have one, you know, it's fine. Yeah, this video's already been going on for quite a while. I'm surprised we hit the 3-hour mark. So let's go ahead and wrap there. Hopefully this insight has kind of helped you decide what to buy on support. You know, I've seen a lot of times where you just kind of get like, you know, lost in the sauce. You don't know what to buy. And so hopefully this kind of helped a little bit. Again, think about every game in isolation. Well, not in isolation necessarily, but as a unique case, you know. Think about all the factors in the game, all 10 heroes, as often as you can. And in the current state of the game as well. And then just in general, you know, trend up here. C is a pretty fat tier because, you know, lots of different types of heroes. Maybe I could have split C into 2 different tiers. Maybe I will later. I don't know. All I know is you can kind of avoid all this stuff down here and be fine. Yeah, so I'll be back later with some more support guides and some general advice. Some that's kind of sneaked in here. Hopefully this helps, and I'll see you guys later. Logging down to save your tier list. Jeez.